Madam Chair, we have quorum, if I'm not mistaken. I have to recount one more time. Oh, no, we have quorum. Thank you.
Okay, Eddie, we're recording both or just
Yes, hold
YouTube?
on. I'm gonna get both. You got it. All right, it's all yours.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending CB13's September monthly board meeting for Wednesday, September 28th.
Hello, Lucy.
Hi, Fran.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, I'd like to remind each and every one of you that these proceedings are being recorded. We have closed down the chat, and the reason that it's been closed is because unprofessional comments have been placed on there. Whatever comments you do place on there will go to the host, and we would be happy to relate it to the community. With that being said, I want to remind board members, in order for you to vote on anything, you must have your cameras on, not your photo, your cameras. So you can turn your camera on, vote, and then turn it off, whatever you feel like doing. But it must be on when roll call is called with your name. Okay, so now let's proceed. The first presentation, it is from Coney Island Hospital on the new naming. Go ahead. And you
Sure.
have 10 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. May I share my screen?
Hold on. I will make you co-host.
Okay, thank you.
It's all yours.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to bring the members of the board up to date on Coney Island's transition to South Brooklyn Health. This has been a campaign that we have embarked upon over the last 2 years. And this is regarding, you know, the campus transition, which includes the building of a brand new hospital, which we expect to be done later on this year, and just a significant amount of investment to update the ambulatory care side of the house. So what you see here on this first slide is just a rendering of what the new entrance for what will be the South Brooklyn Health and Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital entrance, which we expect to open in 2023. Moving on to the next slide. Here, what you see is, this is just some campaign slogan. The best way to predict the future is to create it. The slogan for the campaign is excellence for all, meaning anyone who walks through the doors of the future South Brooklyn Health and its Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital can expect to receive excellent care. The mission will be South Brooklyn Health provides high quality patient-centered care with compassion, dignity, and respect. Our vision will be South Brooklyn Health is the healthcare destination of choice, serving the community and beyond today and for future generations. And we'll continue with our values of integrity, compassion, accountability, respect, and excellence. This is a map of what the campus will look like in terms of transitioning from the current name of Coney Island Hospital to the new name. So this entire campus, we're going from Coney Island Hospital, which is the inpatient and outpatient side of the house, and we will transition to New York City Health and Hospitals South Brooklyn Health. The new 11-story building that will be known as the G building or the Ginsburg building, plus the Tower building, which is an existing building. Both of those buildings combined will be known as the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital. And our main building, which houses our ambulatory care services, will be known as a Health and Wellness Institute. So for some of you, just to orient you, you may be familiar with our outpatient entrance on Ocean Parkway. This is it right here, number 3. So this entire green building here that will become the Health and Wellness Institute. That's the current main building. And this blue shaded area here, this is the Tower building. This is the new 11-story building. These buildings both combined will be known as the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital. Moving on, so this is a 3-year campus transition. We're currently in the first phase, which is really getting the building ready. So it's the operational readiness phase. We're doing all the moving and planning, the training and orientation of our staff. I just mentioned the campus renaming, rebranding. We will, at some point in the near future, occupy the building, both in terms of employee and patients, and evaluate and making sure that everything is done correctly. And then we will begin the deconstruction of the Hammett Pavilion to make way for the driveway. Phase 2 will take place in 2023. We will convert the current ED. Once the ED leaves and moves into the new building, we will have ambulatory practice with 50 exam rooms, radiology, dental, women's health, and opening of the new RBG entrance. This will all be done in the Future Health and Wellness Institute. Phase 3, which is in 2024, we will continue the ambulatory care redesign, build out spaces for staff support and wellness, education and research, administrative offices, and implement digital signage and wayfinding. This is just some of the photos you will see from the campaign, which launched in August, and this will continue out through the fall and into the early winter. Again, Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital, expect excellence for all. And this, of course, is the entryway that will be built once the Hammett Pavilion comes down. So why did we name it? Why did we name the campus South Brooklyn Health? Well, we have a catchment area of about 875,000 lives, which is racially and ethnically diverse. And so we believe that because we will become the healthcare destination of choice, we want to make the entire South Brooklyn community know that our doors are welcome to them. So as I mentioned, our catchment area is not only South Brooklyn, but we're looking to expand and provide healthcare services to folks who live on the northern shore. A significant portion of our patients already come from the northern shore of Staten Island, so we will continue to encourage those patients and the community at large to come to South Brooklyn Health. We also realize that we have an opportunity in the Far Rockaways, and so we will begin to do outreach in that community. We've made significant inroads through 2 community health fairs we've had at Breezy Point. One was done last year and one was done this year, and we were warmly received, and everyone was very pleased to hear about the services that will be in the hospital. So speaking of services, what will be in the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital? As I mentioned, in the G building, we will have an expanded emergency department, twice the size of the current ED, state-of-the-art surgical suite and an endoscopy suite, inpatient dialysis, inpatient pharmacy, 80 brand new private med-surg beds. So no longer will we have a 4-bedded facility for inpatient. We will have 60 behavioral health beds, radiology, labs, and visitor parking. The T building will be a part of the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital. We will maintain 129 med-surg beds there, 32 intensive care beds, as well as mother-baby service, labor and delivery, postpartum, and a special care nursery. And in the interest of time, I'm going to stop at this slide. This is just an overview of what will be in the Health and Wellness Institute. As I mentioned, this will be the focus of our primary care expansion. So we will have on the first floor 26,000 square feet with over 50 exam rooms to be used for primary care, diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular disease. On the third floor, we will construct new space to relocate outpatient behavioral health. On the 5th floor, we will create a comprehensive dental practice and outpatient radiology with the installation of a new CT scanner and renovated ultrasound. And the next phase of the work will include additional outpatient relocations and improvements, staff space, administrative offices, educational space, and employee wellness space. So I'm going to stop there to see if there are any questions that you have of me in terms of the presentation.
Thank you. Somehow I can't stop you from sharing. So Eddie, can you stop her?
Yeah, hold on.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
There you go.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for that presentation. Are there any questions? If so, please raise your hand and unmute yourselves.
We have Assad.
Go ahead, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you. I just have a very quick question in terms of the name. So is the name of the entire institution South Brooklyn Health, and then Ruth Bader Ginsburg is the name of that, that tower and that building, or is the whole institution Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital?
That's a very good question. So the name of the entire campus, the inpatient side of the house and the outpatient side of the house, will be known as South Brooklyn Health. The Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hospital is the inpatient facility on the South Brooklyn Health campus.
Thank
Does
you.
that clarify your,
Yes, it does.
okay, very good.
Christopher?
Yes, I'm definitely want to say that I'm a very big supporter of this because we, with MTA and everyone, we are supporting this to make sure that the signages as well as accessorized signs are going to be
Yes.
up to date. We are working with DOT and MTA, are both working on adding a second area stop, but more details should be coming in soon. So I want to let you, Lucy, as well as the hospital know that we are working together, and I can't wait to see the new building. It is truly ADA accessible, and I'm very proud of it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that.
Anyone else? Michael Quinn?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, and I'm just interested in the name South Brooklyn because the location of the hospital's in Southern Brooklyn. Like when I think of South Brooklyn people would think it's Cobble Hill or someplace like that. Southern
Right.
Brooklyn's actually, yeah. So I was just the name in general. I know you're covering different parts of the borough and maybe other boroughs like Staten Island, but technically it's in Southern Brooklyn, not South Brooklyn.
Right. We had this conversation when we were going through the vetting process with our board of directors and with City Hall about the distinction between Southern Brooklyn and South Brooklyn. And the overall consensus was that many folks thought that South Brooklyn was appropriate. We did a focus group with the community. We did a focus group with in-house, and we vetted South Brooklyn, and it was accepted as a name that we could select from. So we were comfortable pursuing the renaming of to South Brooklyn Health.
All right, thank you.
Mark?
Thank you. I had a question. You said the third floor, you're going to transition its use. I currently go to physical therapy, which is the third floor in that building. Are you making a new physical therapy, or am I confused? And I'll mute myself for your answer.
Okay, that's okay. So, oh, you can't see it. So in the new building, so let's see, let's see, on the third floor. So we're moving behavioral health there. And the PTOT will be, that's what you're looking for, right? You're looking for where the PT and OT will be. And I'm just looking on the map here. It will remain in the main building. And it will, not to worry, it will remain as in fact, I think it'll be on the it looks like the seventh floor.
Okay, thank you. Was it not answered, Mark?
The seventh floor is pre-surgery.
Okay,
Yes,
well,
but
can you guys connect?
Yes.
We'll send
Okay,
Mark your
I'll-
information.
Yes, that would be
Okay.
fine. and
Eddie,
I'll
please
ask
make
you.
So
sure
Thank you.
that-
to answer your question, we're not getting rid of PT and OT, not to worry. So we will reconfigure the seventh floor to accommodate the PT and the OT.
Okay, so Eddie, Mark, will you please connect them both so
Yes,
we
I can do
can move on with this? I have two more questions and then that's it. The next one is Fania.
Oh, you gotta fine, you gotta unmute.
Okay, hi. I just want to use this opportunity to thank the hospital because I was pleasantly surprised. I never used the hospital, heard very unpleasant, that the hospital had very unpleasant reputation, but just happened that last week I had to go to emergency room for my infusion for COVID. And I was pleasantly surprised that I didn't have to wait a very long time, and the staff was very nice and with very good bed manners. So I just want to thank the hospital, just something that I thought I had to tell you.
Thank you. That's really wonderful to hear. Thank
It was
you.
good to hear that. Okay, I did say too, Michael Russo, you're gonna be the last. I'm gonna be nice right now. Gloria, go ahead.
Okay, my question, will chemistry and hematology, the labs, would they be both in the building? And the second one, where would the emergency room be located?
Yes, so chemistry and hematology will remain in the building. We're not removing those services, and the emergency room will be in the new building on the second floor.
Wow, thank you.
So, right, so it's on the second floor. It's a part of the resiliency plan. Should we have another 100-year storm or 500-year storm, we will the ED will not become damaged.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Michael Russo, and then that's the last question.
Lucy, thank you, Lucy. The ERB on the second floor is a little step back with that, but then you saying resiliency, that's very smart.
Mhm.
Will it be a level 1 trauma?
So at this time, because of cost constraints, and I think this issue was brought up at the last board meeting, because of cost constraints, we cannot convert to a level 1 trauma. There's significant costs associated with the requirement of being 24/7. However, the hospital's trauma response team, we remain on standby for incoming codes, and we perform multiple DRIDs to be ready for patients that are brought in for care. And our ED will appoint an EMS and disaster fellowship trained doctor for trauma and peri-hospital medicine to ensure preparedness and quality. So we are ensuring that we can care for someone if they come in for trauma, but at this time, we are not converting to a level 1 trauma center.
Thank you for the answer.
Okay, and just to clarify the point about the PT and the OT, so it will remain on the 3rd floor. So it's a portion of the 3rd floor that will be converted for outpatient behavioral health, but PT OT will remain on the 3rd floor. So I'd like to stand corrected on my former statement.
Okay, thank you, Bridget. Thank you very much. It's
Also, Lucy,
for the information.
can we?
Eddie, let me finish, dear. Bridget, please make sure that this presentation is sent to the community board office.
Yes.
Several people are questioning if they can get a copy of it, and Eddie or the office will be more than kind to send it to each board member, so that way we don't have to go through the list of who requested it. So we would totally appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
So now moving forward, EDC, are you with us?
Yes, we are. Hey, how you
Hi,
doing today,
Justin.
Lucy?
How are you today?
Good.
Okay, so EDC came to us, oh goodness, to our economic, I get it confused, I'm so sorry. It was our economic committee. And now he needs to make a presentation to the full board in order for us to give our recommendation to the borough president's office on the 6th of October. So with that being said, can someone give Justin
Actually,
privileges to share?
give permission to Malia Teskey. My colleague is actually going to run through the presentation. I guess just to kick us off really quick, I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight. My colleague Malia Teskey is going to run through the presentation, and just to kind of keep in mind that at the end of the presentation, the ask is to give us a letter of support for for our efforts here. So thank you so much. And Malia, I will kick it off to you.
Great. Thanks, Justin. I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully that's coming through now. Great. So good evening, Community Board 13. My name is Malia Teskey, and I am an Assistant Vice President in Asset Management. And we are here tonight to request a letter of support for our proposed Borough Board resolution to extend the lease for a portion of city-owned property in Coney Island, known as the Thunderbolt Property, pursuant to Section 384B4. And as Lucy and Justin mentioned, we previously presented to the Economic Development Committee, and we're excited to be with the full board tonight.
Milana, give me a second. Can everyone please mute themselves? We have feedback. I really would appreciate it. If not, can I have the staff please do so? Thank you.
So in the Coney Island Amusement District, one of the world's most iconic amusement areas, EDC leases property to both Central Amusement International, CAI, which is shown here in orange, and also to Voodoo Food Corp, commonly known as Dino's Wonder Wheel, shown here in blue. These properties are used by Dino's and CAI for their various amusement operations and attractions. CAI's leasehold also includes their current subtenants, Brooklyn's Beach Shop, Ruby's, Paul's Daughter, and Tom's Coney Island. Our amusement leases with CAI and Dino's are currently set to expire on December 31st, 2027, and EDC is working to obtain an extension of these leases for 10 more years to 2037 in an effort to support the amusement area and particularly the small boardwalk business subtenants in their recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and the government mandated closures associated with it. In December 2021, the City Council and the Mayor approved an amendment to the Coney Island Special Process Agreement in support of this lease extension. A particular piece of property, which we call the Thunderbolt Property, it's within CAI's leasehold and outlined here in white. It requires an additional step in the approval process, which is what we're here tonight requesting your support on. As many of you know, the Thunderbolt Property is home to the Thunderbolt roller coaster. It opened in 2014 after being added to CAI's leasehold in 2013. EDC seeks to extend its lease with the city for the Thunderbolt Property for an additional 10 years so that we may extend CAI's lease for that same period. So that was a lot for a first side. Just to recap the highlights, EDC has a lease with CAI. It has a separate lease with Dino's. We are pursuing a 10-year lease extension for these amusement leases to 2037. And we have those tenants and the subtenants here tonight in support of the extension. And for EDC to effectuate its extension with CAI, there's an additional step required for the Thunderbolt Property that needs to go through the Borough Board. Now, as you are all familiar with, the COVID-19 pandemic and associated government mandated closures had a devastating impact on the Coney Island Amusement District and the businesses operating within it. Typically, more than 5 million people visit the Coney Island amusement area annually, helping to sustain the businesses that are embedded within the district's rich culture. However, due to the mandated government closure in 2020, Luna Park and Dino's were shut down for well over a year. The entire 2020 season was lost and the 2021 season was significantly impacted, resulting in severe financial losses. But despite this, Dino's and CAI continue to invest in the area and bring new attractions to Coney Island, like the Phoenix, during some very difficult times. This 10-year lease extension allows CAI, Dino's, and the small business subtenants to recoup significant losses that occurred during the pandemic. In conjunction with EDC extending its lease with CAI, CAI will extend its subleases with its subtenants. There have been some questions around the subtenant support of these leases. We want to point out their continued support throughout this lease extension process. Not only are they here tonight, they have previously provided testimony to the City Council, the Community Board's Economic Development Committee, and the Brooklyn Borough Board in support of this lease extension and their respective deals with their landlord CAI. And in addition to recouping losses, this lease extension allows CAI, DNOs, and those small business subtenants to secure additional financing for long-term planning and continued investment in the Coney Island area. As I stated earlier, on December 27th, 2021, the City Council and the Mayor approved the Third Amendment to the Coney Island Special Process Agreement, supporting this 10-year lease extension. The Third Amendment to the Special Process Agreement authorized the city and EDC to extend the city's lease for the area shown here in green to not later than December 31st, 2037. It also encouraged EDC to extend our leases with CAI and DNOs for that same period. As you can see, the Thunderbolt property is only partially included in the area covered by the Special Process Agreement, and thus this additional step is required to extend the city's lease for this parcel for the same term. To effectuate CAI's lease extension, EDC is seeking Borough Board approval to extend the city lease for the Thunderbolt property for an additional 10 years. The Thunderbolt property is approximately 41,500 square feet, consisting of amusement uses on block 7074, lot 190. This property was added to CAI's leasehold in 2013 pursuant to the same 384 process. So that's basically all we are requesting, a 10-year lease extension to just this portion of the Thunderbolt property that is outside of the Special Process Agreement area. CAI will continue in this extension term to pay a percentage rent equal to a portion of gross receipts generated on the Thunderbolt property site, and EDC will direct 50% of all the revenues received from the Thunderbolt property to the Department of Parks and Recreation for capital investments to parks and recreational facilities in Coney Island. We thank you very much for your time and your consideration of our request for a letter of support. These lease extensions will provide much needed stability and relief to the amusement businesses in Coney Island and help them engage in long-term investments that are beneficial to Coney Island at large. We thank you and we look forward to taking any questions.
Okay, again, I can't, thank you, Eddie, very much. I have two questions first before I call on to the members. So the first one, there were two community boards that had questions at the borough president's meeting. And one was to do with financial, and I can't recall the other one, so I apologize. Justin, would you be kind enough to tell us what those questions were and what is your response to them?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lucy, for the question. So the first question that you're alluding to is Community Board's 9 question as far as understanding the subtenants' leases and their financials. So one thing we want to point out during that meeting on October 6th is that the city is not a party to those leases and thus is not privy to that information. However, we want to point out that their support of this process speaks to their happiness and support of this process and this lease extension. And we think that's the most important thing that Community Board 9 was somewhat trying to get at.
And then I believe there was another community board. And again, I don't have my notes in front of me, so I don't recall what the question
According
was.
to the minute meetings, the second question was us coming back tonight to get the full borough board support, according to the meeting minutes that the borough board's office released.
Okay, so I guess we'll go with the minutes, but in my memory, I thought it was another community board. So the first okay, so I'm gonna go with the board members first, and then if there's anyone from the public, please, I'll call you, just raise your hand. The first person will be Michael Quinn.
Yeah, I'm gonna speak at the end. I want to make a motion at the end.
Okay, not a problem. So can you, I'll try to remember not to call on you with your hand up. The next one is Selena.
Good evening, everyone. Just for clarifications for my purposes, I know there was an issue with the rent going up for the vendors who were on the boardwalk with their lease. Is this part of, does this fall under your jurisdiction or is it something different?
So again, I think talking about any increases to any of the subtenants, I think the most important thing to point out is their attendance and support throughout this process speaks for their support of this extension. Malia, if you want to add anything, yeah.
Sure, I would just add that, this is a lease extension that we are just finishing negotiating and about to execute. And so it is taking a look at what's needed to recover from the pandemic in order to be successful in the years to come.
Okay, I don't know if that really answered, but I understand what you're saying. You have the support, they're here, those were involved. I just know that there was a question about the increase and some were thinking about closing down, but I'm glad to see that they're here, those who are involved. Thank you.
Assemblywoman, is this related to the presentation or you're just saying you're here?
No, ma'am, I'm raising my hand regarding the discussion on the floor.
Please go. Please go ahead.
I wanted to know in following what Selena just said, are all the businesses, did all the businesses have their leases renewed? Because there was some controversy with some of the businesses who were left out, who were complaining about the rents going up and who felt like they weren't given, an opportunity to renew their leases. I wanted to know what became of that. I'm thinking of Lola Star, and there may have been another one, I don't recall, but what became of those back and forth conversations? Is everybody included in this lease renewal?
So, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to step in. EDC has encouraged and will continue to encourage all of our tenants to find mutually beneficial agreements with their respective subtenants. That is, we are one step removed from that relationship. We continue to support a healthy dialogue between CAI and all of their subtenants, as evidenced by the subtenants that are here tonight with their current leases and executed term sheets for lease extension.
And I just want to point out, Assembly member, and thanks so much for the question, that there were basically 4 out of the 5 of those tenants who are still a part of this process.
Are you able to say anything about what happened to the 5th tenant?
Again, as Malia stated, EDC was not a party to that. Again, we encouraged and tried to be as supportive as possible to facilitate healthy dialogue. But that is our role that we played.
Okay, Michael Russo.
Well, I'm the chairperson, I guess, the only chairperson for the economic development. And after going through the meeting and listening to what the tenants said, that they were basically happy with the lease that was written with as a subtenant with their leaseholders. We came to the decision then that we should just give the letter of support. They weren't complaining. They thought it was fair. I don't know. Not everyone was represented at that meeting, from what I understand. Sorry, but they were very enthusiastic about the lease that they were signing, and they were getting an extension. So I don't see any reason why we shouldn't. And Michael Quinn, not to step on your parade, but I'd like to, as the chairperson of this committee, I'd like to make the motion to write the letter of support.
Okay, the motion was made at your committee and now we're having discussion. So we will continue the discussion and see if there's anyone else has any questions, and then we'll vote on it when we come to committee level.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael Russo. Cynthia.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just had a question about the last, slide that you showed, where there was a portion of it that it was green and there was like a white bar. So just to understand, that white bar, the rectangle, is a portion that was not included in the original lease. Is it seeking to expand into that, or with
Sure.
all that
Yeah,
area?
great question. And let me know if this fully answers it. So the Thunderbolt property was not part of CAI's original leasehold, but it was added in 2013. The special process agreement covers the majority of the amusement lease area for both CAI and Dino's, but unfortunately, there is this portion of the Thunderbolt property that is outside of the green area on that graphic, and the city, the special process agreement authorized the city to proceed with the lease extensions for all but that small piece of the Thunderbolt property, and that is why we are going to the borough board for the traditional 384 before approval for disposition of city-owned property by lease.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Michael? I don't see any other speakers, and after Michael, I will make a comment. Michael Quinn, would you like to speak, or you'll wait for me?
I mean, Michael just mentioned about the motion. I'd like to make a motion in regards to this.
Okay, so you're gonna make a motion at the committee, or you're just
Right
gonna make
now,
a
I
comment?
want-
'Cause the
right.
motion- Can I finish? The motion,
Sure, you can
if you're
finish, yeah.
making a motion on what the committee voted on, you would have to wait for the committee to report. Or you're gonna make a comment on this? Which one is it?
No comment, no comment.
Okay, so we'll wait for when it comes up for committee. Thank you. Okay, with that being said, I'm gonna piggyback off Michael Russo. I was at the meeting. I want to thank EDC for a great presentation. I want to thank the subcontractors for each. I didn't hear one subcontractor say that their hands were twisted, that they were thrown to the ground, that they needed to sign this lease agreement. Each and every one of them, in my opinion, are intelligent enough to understand what they're signing. They've been around for numerous of years. Most of them were telling me 20, 30 years. So I think we went in favor of what the subcontractors wanted. My understanding, there is one individual that, and without name, is not part of the dealings, but I understand that you can't make everyone happy. And if you're not willing to sign a lease, you just can't sign a lease. We can't have everyone, part of the, how do I say the wording? Part of the pool, if you don't want to be, you don't want to be in it. So that's just, Craig, I am going to call on you. Give me a second there. I want to say that I thank EDC for revising one of the slides that I noticed, and it was at the request of Jeff. We did request that the 50% that EDC is going to give to Department of Parks and Recreation, that 50% remains within Community Board 13. So we're very strong on that. We're very adamant on that. You did tell us that we need to contact Parks and let them know that we would like to have an input as to where. So for example, I'm going to just use this as an example. If they want to place something in Kaiser Park, to please come to us. I can speak for myself. I prefer for the money to stay right in the boardwalk area, but as long as it goes to Community Board 13 and it goes to anywhere designated in our district through Parks, that for me personally, that's fine. And we will, once and if it's voted on through this full board, then we will write a letter to the Parks Department indicating that is the case. So that was just my statement of what I felt on this topic. Craig?
Thank you, Lucy. Hi, Community Board 13. I have a 25-year-old child, and when they were a teenager and they wanted to go out, they had to ask permission. Of course, I wouldn't say, yeah, sure, do what you want. I needed to know where they were going, who they were going out with, and what time they would be home. Those are conditions. They got to go out as long as they honored those conditions. The city of New York bought the boardwalk properties in 2009 for $96 million. The city owns the underlying property that the amusement district businesses are on. They have a master lease with CAI, who holds subleases with the boardwalk businesses like Ruby's and Tom's, who are subtenants. Those businesses suffered tremendous losses from the 18-month pandemic closure, which pushed them perilously close to the point of closure. They negotiated new terms with CAI, which rolled back a portion of their rent increases and extended their lease terms by 10 years to give them more time to reestablish themselves financially. I have heard them speak at 3 hearings so far. They sound content with the deal they reached. CAI made it clear to the city that the deal with their subtenants is contingent on the city extending their master lease for an additional 10 years, which the city has agreed to do. The tenants are getting a deal they seem content with. CAI is getting their lease extension, and the city will continue to collect rent from the use of the city-owned property through 2038. The city is collecting rent for the use of this public land, but the Coney Island community was completely left out of these lease negotiations. Your Economic Development Committee has put forward a motion to support this deal as presented because it will benefit the amusement district businesses, including CAI and Dino's, who are certainly deserving of our support. Sadly, the deal does not currently include Lola Star. It benefits the city to have financially stable businesses locked into a long-term deal, but there is nothing in this deal to help out the host community. When you vote to approve something without conditions, it is the equivalent of saying, yeah, sure, do what you want. You get to say what kind of conditions you want, whether the city is prepared to meet them or not. You get to ask for what the community needs. You even get to demand what the community deserves. Would any of you let your child go out without conditions? Of course not. It's not okay to keep telling the city, yeah, sure, do what you want. The city needs conditions too. Please consider adding a condition to your committee's recommendation so that the community will get something more out of this deal. Redirect all of the rent money collected by the city for all of the properties back into the community in the form of programs and projects that will support the needs of the Coney Island community. That would be a great start. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Craig, I'm not, the last ending, I'm not comprehending it a little. If they've already agreed to give 50% back to the
50% of one small sliver of property, not to the community, but to the Parks Department. We're asking for all of the rent for all of the properties should be given back to Coney Island. There's no harm in asking for that. That should be a condition of your support.
Okay. Anyone has a question for Craig with that? Okay, now we're going to go back to Michael Russo. Go ahead. Thank you, Craig.
Craig, thank you for your opinion or your question and your statement there. This should have been brought up at the economic development meeting. You know, we gave support on that during that meeting from what was given at the time. There was no one on the dissent there. So, you know, I agree with you that the money should come back to the community more than, you know, a little bit of something is better than a lot of nothing. That's what I say.
Michael, I was there and I asked for this then.
I don't remember you asking for that. I apologize.
Okay, we're not going to go back and forth. We're going to leave it alone.
I'm done.
Okay.
We can go to the videotape.
Craig, we're done. I appreciate your comments. Are there any other comments? Are you sure this is your last call because EDC is leaving and we're going to vote on it later? And if you have anything in the back of your head, please.
Lucy?
Yes, Barbara.
In the real world today, I think it's really important to know that you could put on things, a million things that you want or whatever, but I think we have to deal with the real world here. 50% back is fabulous. And putting in something else on top, that doesn't mean it could ever happen, and voting no for it is not what they want or not good for what we want. So I think it's really important that people realize what we can get and how good a deal it is as it is now.
Thank you for your comment, Barbara. Okay. Anyone else? EDC, would you like to stay with us to the end, or are you?
I'm here with you until we vote, Lucy.
Excuse me?
I said, I'm here with you until we vote, Lucy.
Okay, well, I had a 10:30 meeting last night and then I woke up at 6, so we're moving along.
Sounds good.
Okay, so thank you everyone for your input. Thank you for your comments. We really appreciate it. This topic will be brought up to vote further on down the agenda. Okay,
I think Pat has her hand up.
who?
Pat Singer.
It's too late. I'm moving on. Thank you, Zanera. Public session. Let's go by the list. Oh, we have our Assemblywoman here. Go ahead, Assemblywoman Francis.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Wanted to just share a couple of thoughts tonight because there's a lot happening on the peninsula, and I don't want to be here all night, but I want to take just a minute or two to talk about mental health. A couple of weeks ago, we had a young mother who drowned her 3 kids. It was very, very difficult for people in the community to hear about it. Certainly family members have been under a lot of trauma and heartache. My office has been in touch with them. Some of us went to the wake. The council member organized a vigil on the boardwalk. Shortly thereafter, some of you may have heard, you may have seen a story in the news about a young lady who shot herself with a gun. There was a dispute with her former partner. And on the first night when she got shot, the news reported that her ex had shot her. And then the very next day they said, oh no, the ex didn't shoot her, she shot herself. Well, she's from Coney Island. She had moved in recent years, but the community is still mourning now. It's very, very difficult. And everywhere I walk up and down the street, people are stopping me on the street to talk about mental health. And I've just been reminding everybody, as the chair of the Minority Mental Health Subcommittee in the New York State Assembly, let's talk to each other. Let's check in with one another. A lot of people are just trying their best to get by. They're ashamed to talk about mental health. They don't want to ask for help. They don't want to say that they feel overwhelmed. They don't want to say that they feel at their breaking point. So I want to remind people that we have resources on the city and state level. We have things as simple as a hotline, like a 1-888 New York City Well. We do have resources. If you know a family just right here on the peninsula, you can definitely refer them to various mental health clinics, which we have, starting with the Hpd Israel. They have mental health services, the actual hospital on Ocean Parkway. We have a number of other programs that offer mental health and substance abuse. So I just want us to check in on our friends and neighbors, let people know it's okay to say that they're not okay. And if you see anyone that is sort of masking their struggle, just let them know that there are services available. Thank you.
Matilde?
And
It's Barbara Titlebaum.
Barbara.
Yes.
Barbara, wait till you're called on. Give me a second.
Sorry.
Okay, I just want to make sure I don't miss any hands being risen, because then I get called that I didn't call on someone. Thank you, Assemblywoman. Would you like to discuss a little bit about the business meeting that you had with the business owners, or did I miss that while I was texting?
No, you didn't miss it. I knew that time was of the essence tonight, so I only talked about the mental health because I've been having so many conversations with community members, and I know that it's on a lot of people's minds. If anybody needs support for a family member, reach out to my office, and we will definitely guide you where you can get mental health or substance abuse services for your family. Regarding the meeting I held, the chairwoman is correct. I did hold a meeting just some days ago regarding some armed robberies, which were taking place on Mermaid Avenue. It was very disturbing. I had received a notification on my phone that there was an armed robbery happening at Bellagio Pharmacy, and I couldn't believe it. So in just a matter of hours, maybe just a couple of days after that armed robbery, I worked with Edwin Cosme, Jamal, Walter from Sneaker Town, a couple of business owners on Mermaid, and we quickly held this meeting at the library. We invited business owners across the peninsula, mainly from Mermaid. I want to thank representatives from CB13 who were at that meeting. The 60th Precinct Community Council was represented at that meeting. And most importantly, we had the 6O officers, crime prevention officers, who shared information with the business owners. But there is so much going on right now in our community. We have to look out for one another between the business, the robberies, the armed robberies happening on Mermaid, and between people sort of taking extreme measure. I think that what those two things have in common is that we all have to be looking after each other. You're walking down Mermaid, pop in, say hello, see how people are doing, be observant, pay attention, check in on your next door neighbors, and don't worry about being nosy. And we all just have to check in with one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. Barbara now.
Thank you. Mathilde, I think what we could do in the future is work with the schools at an early age and continue getting more mental health help and understanding of what it means in the grades going up, so that when you're an adult, that you will not feel, oh boy, I got a problem now, I'm afraid, I'm ashamed. If we start young, and I know there has been money set aside for social workers, etc., but we really need to work. I think that is the place to start, so in the future, people will not be so stigmatized.
I agree 100%. And I'll just say, I forgot to say this, education, we have to raise awareness. So look out for a flyer from my office. I do events on mental health all year round. So you should be following me on social media. And I'll be having a workshop in just a couple of weeks with Coney Island Hospital on postpartum depression. So please look out for that flyer.
Okay, thank you. Zanera, did you lower your hand? Okay, then. Any other questions for the Assemblywoman? Okay, thank you as always. And we'll move on with the agenda. So our next speaker is Craig, 3 minutes.
Thanks, Lucy. I'm not going to take 3 minutes because I already read my prepared statement. I just want to wish everyone a happy new year. And in the spirit of this holiday, I will atone for my sins and promise to be more brief in the future. I'm really working on that. It's really hard for me. Please bear with me. If you get tired of getting emails from me, just let me know and I'll be sure to take you off my list. And in that spirit, may everybody enjoy a healthy new year filled with love and all good things. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Craig. Christopher, 3 minutes.
Good evening, everyone. It's Christopher Grive at New York City Transit Riders Council, ACTA, and now also on Metro North ADA Task Force with Long Island Railroad. Very important announcement, and this is, I'm glad Matilda's here too, because since we're getting ready to put in the new buses in, and we're doing a pilot bus, which will be actually along the B1. That will be an extra B1 bus. This will be helping the baby strollers to come into where they're located and closer to near the back door, but not at the back door, but there will be a spot for them. We'll be doing this pilot. This will be in Brooklyn for the B1 bus and other boroughs on that list, which I did give to Lucy, Eddie, Hannah, and Barbara. So they have my reports is there. Very important also, Matilda, as well as everyone in here as well. We are still doing step 1 for Omni. We ask everyone to please do that step 1 for Omni, because we are getting ready soon, which I'll wait. You will hear soon announcement for step 2 to choose the card or the app. But right now, everyone should be choosing what they need to choose, the app or the card. This is for reduced fare only. Right now, for full fare, you already done it. You already passed, so you're done. But this is for reduced fare. And regarding the RFPs, we are getting ready now. We are hearing that Sheepshead Bay will be getting an elevator and other stations that are listed. Outside of Community Port 13, the next nearest station is Sheepshead Bay, and not far is Kings Harley on the F. More stations will be soon added into the list to be doing the RFP work. So those are all my reports. And Lucy, Eddie, Hannah, Barbara, and happy belated Rosh Hashanah and a happy Yom Kippur. Thank you.
Any questions for Christopher? Please use the hand function so it can bring your name to the top of the screen. Okay, thank you. Our next speaker, which she'll have 5 minutes, is Erica from Ari Kagan's office. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, dear, 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, I thought we were going to speak about the participatory budgeting tonight. Are we going to talk about that?
That's up to your office if you guys are going to discuss it, if you guys are going to participate in it or not. Let the public know where and when and or how.
Okay, so we are not going to participate in it. Since the councilman receives 5 million and he allocate all his those fundings to the capital projects throughout the district, the council members who take part in the participatory budgeting only get to allocate 4 million, allocated 4 million if they participate in this budgeting. And since he's already given out money, this is why he's not going to participate this year. So if anyone needs extra funding, they could always wait to January and apply for some money, and you can see if you're approved for it.
Okay, Ms. Turner, how can they reach your office if anyone in the any of the constituents would like to discuss funding towards their business or nonprofit organization? Well, that business is a nonprofit organization. Go ahead.
Well,
I'm sorry, you're muted, ma'am.
they can email council district47@council.nyc.gov.
And I do have a question. Anyone else has a question for Ms. Turner? Okay, Ms. Turner, will you please relay a message to our councilman? My question is would he be so kind? I guess it's a question and a request. Would he be so kind to possibly maybe place in public those organizations and those capital where he has given funding to those capital projects? Because I know a couple of our elected officials that do the same thing and they publicize it. I know how to look at the sheet. Other people know how to go through the system, but most of our constituents do not. So if he can simplify something with bullet points, as our other elected officials have done, we would totally appreciate that. Or I would totally appreciate it, I guess, for the constituents.
Okay, we can have that done.
Thank you very much. Any questions, again, for the councilman's office? Okay, let's move on. Thank you. Ida, sign off 3 minutes.
I hope you noticed in EDC's presentation that they had a beautiful wooden boardwalk in the amusement area, which is the most heavily trafficked area of the entire boardwalk. And we have heard that the amusement area, the most heavily trafficked area of the boardwalk, will be the only part of the boardwalk that the Parks Department has agreed to maintain as wood. In case you haven't heard, around 2024, the Parks Department intends to spend several $100 million taxpayer dollars to do, we all admit the boardwalk needs repairs, boardwalk repairs, but a concrete boardwalk. However, they're going to make repairs on our current boardwalk, which is elevated 13 feet above sea level. But the Army Corps of Engineers just came out with their most recent flood control project. And it's a huge project, New York, New Jersey metro area. And guess what? In their plans, they show our boardwalk as a promenade, but it's 18 feet above sea level. So, and that's going to start in 2030. So either what Parks is going to do is going to have to be buried or busted up in less than 10 years. 2024, Parks will be doing their work at several $100 million. 2030, 6 years later, the Army Corps of Engineers will be doing their work. So I ask you, does it make sense for several $100 million taxpayer dollars to be spent on something that's going to be obsolete in less than 10 years? Now, our sources tell us that Parks and the Army Corps are, quote unquote, in communication, but they are not working together. And the Parks Department still refuses to evaluate a concrete slab boardwalk for storm surge impacts. Remember that thousands of our residents live in buildings that are adjacent, right on top of this boardwalk. And yet the Parks Department continues to ignore the most obvious, our safety. Okay, look what just happened in Florida tonight. God should watch over them. So again, several hundred million taxpayer dollars to be spent in a year or so for work that will be obsolete in less than 10 years. Okay, there is something very, very wrong happening here. Okay, and we need, I know I'm going to do my part to get to the bottom of it. Okay, the Army Corps of Engineers flood control project, public comments are accepted. I'm sure it will be posted. I'll be more than happy to send the link.
Okay, Ida, you've been muted. Ida, you've been muted because your 3 minutes are up. Thank you for your comment. Tatiana, 3 minutes. Tatiana, are you with us? Staff, is she here or no? Or am I muted?
I did not see her.
Okay, moving on. Hassan from the
Tatiana
Borough Press.
is here, Madam Chair. She unmuted herself just now.
Okay, Tatiana,
Yes, good evening.
3 minutes, 3 minutes.
So I would like to make a motion to amend the existing budget or the upcoming budget for the next year and to add an additional project.
Okay, that.
Okay,
can be
Eddie,
done under my
Eddie.
part.
I'm running the meeting.
She's making a motion.
Okay, and I can stop her.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Tatiana, when we talk about the budget in further down the agenda, you'd be more than happy to make your comments or your input.
Okay, thank you so much.
Not a problem. Hassan, if I pronounced it correctly, from the Borough President's Office.
Yeah, you pronounce it perfectly fine.
Okay,
just a quick
dear,
mic.
you have 5 minutes and you'll be muted after that.
Perfect. Yeah, you can hear me fine, right? Just a quick mic check. So good evening to all of you. Good to see all of you after summer break. The VP Reynoso sent his regards to all of you. I like my speeches to be short and precise, so I would just share a couple of news that would be relevant or that are relevant to the board members here. One is that that's pretty much a huge development. So one, during this summer, actually, the VP office was able to fulfill one of his core or critical campaign promises, and that was allocating his entire capital budget, capital funding to just one cause and one issue, and that is to help close the racial disparities among maternal mortality rates in Brooklyn. So in that process, the office actually allocated around 45 million, and that again is almost the entirety of the capital funding among 3 Brooklyn public hospitals. And one of them was the Coney Island one. Actually, I think to my understanding, the Coney Island Hospital actually received the largest allocation from the BP office. It was around 18.5 million. But again, I think this funding was given to the hospital, not just for anything. It was primarily to upgrade and improve their maternal or the women health services and maternal health services. So that happened over the summer. And again, I think the Coney Island Hospital got the biggest allocation from our office. So the other one is we have done a bunch of public events over the summer, and just a fresh reminder to all of you that we continue to do it. You can check our social media, our website for a list of programming in the coming months. Our public events are open to public, right? If you live from everyone from Bushwick to Bay Ridge to Bratton Beach, you can attend our public events. So yeah, just a couple of updates for your board members. I will leave my contact information. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Okay, anyone has questions for the Borough President's office? Okay. Hassan, I don't mean to step on your toes, but I would like to let people know that the Borough President's office has an open meeting every month with the chairpersons and the city council. People are welcome to attend that meeting. I believe the next one is Thursday, October 6th at 6 p.m. Jeff is shaking his head, so I do have it in my head. And if you need that information, we'll be more than happy to forward it to you. These are open meetings. And I would recommend for board members, if they have a few extra minutes of their time, few minutes extra within their time bracket, is to please attend these. They're very informative and, you know, we all get to learn something new. So I thank you. Thank you, Hassan. Erica said she needed to speak again for a few minutes, for 1 minute at least. Thank you.
Yes, in regards to the boardwalk, on Monday, October 3rd at 1 p.m., councilman will speak on the regarding the boardwalk and any coastal parks and the beach. So if you would like to see attend, you could come there or you could view it online. And if you have any questions regarding that, again, you could email District 47 at council.nyc.gov.
Joanne Weiss has a question. You're muted, dear. Take your time. Take your time.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, where on the boardwalk is he meeting? Or where is this meeting? Did you hear me?
Erica, we can't hear you.
Hello?
Yes, he's going to meet with the committee on parks with the chair, Shakar Kishan. You can email District 47 and we can send out the address and the link so you can view it online if you have to.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Joanne, we'll ask Eddie to send the council's office an email and we will forward it to the board members. Those that are interested, please attend, or if we can attend, please do so. If not, you know where that goes. Okay, moving on. Where was I? I have my list in front of me. Maritza. Maritza?
I don't see her here.
Okay. I think that was my last.
No, you have
person.
one more.
Excuse me, Eddie?
Well, you have one more. Victoria?
Did she sign up? Because I don't have her on my list.
No, wait, no, she isn't. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I did.
No. Hannah?
I'm sorry. Let's stop right here. Let me control the meeting. Victoria, you did not sign up. You will not have 3 minutes to speak. We need to move on with our agenda. Please make sure in the future you contact the office when you want to speak. There is a deadline. Thank you.
Russian School of Mathematics, I did.
Okay. Let's move on with the agenda. Approval of the minutes. You must have your cameras on when she calls your name. You can turn your camera back off, but you must have your camera on when she calls your name. Okay, approval of the minutes. May I get a motion to approve the June 22nd, 22 minutes?
I make a motion.
Okay, we have Joanne Weiss and Joe.
Second.
I have two already. Joanne Weiss and Joe Caris.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. When Hannah's ready, unmute yourself. You must have your camera on in order to vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lucy Mujica Diaz.
Yes, but usually I'm at the end. Thank you.
Zunera Ahmed.
Yes.
Lakeisha Bowers.
Yes.
Dion Brown.
Yes.
Patricia Brown.
Dion, I love your face, but you must have your camera on. There she
Can you
goes.
see me?
Yep,
I'm
now you can
driving,
leave.
I'm sorry.
Now you can leave, bye.
Patricia Brown.
Yes, Hannah, thank you.
Thank you. Maria Caggiano.
Yes.
Marion Cleaver.
Yes.
Joe Carase.
Yes.
Assad Dandia.
Yes.
Lolita Divilova.
Yes.
Susan Flashenberg.
Yes.
Olga Fort.
Yes.
Thank you. Selena Grant.
Yes.
Thank you. Ronald Greenberg.
Yes.
Thank you. Aram Hanif. Amaryllis Herrera.
Yes.
Thank you. Queenie Hewling. Queenie.
Yes.
Thank you. Doyen Isaac. Is that you, Mr. Isaac? Bernard Kaufman. Cynthia Lavelle.
Yes.
Thank you. Elena Mackin.
Yes.
Alan Newman.
Yes, ma'am.
Pat O'Brien. Robin Wright Parason.
Yes.
Boris Pincus. Boris.
He was just there.
He's here. He's not. He has to unmute himself. You have to speak your.
Let's do second roll call, please.
Yes,
Move
sir.
on. Let's do second roll call, Anna.
He said yes. Nordra Pirmukhamedova.
Yes.
Milagros Quiles. Michael Quinn.
Yes, Michael.
Stamrenkovsky.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Yes.
Jeff Sanoff.
Yes.
Fran Schwartz. Tatiana. Thank you, Fran. Tatiana Siegel.
Yes.
Pervez Siddiqui. Michael Silverman.
Yes, Michael.
Thank you. Pat Singer.
Yes.
Evelyn Strasser.
Yes.
Jack Subin.
Yes.
Robert Teitelbaum.
Yes.
Fania Vasilevsky.
Yes, Mother.
Yes.
Thank you, Fania. Gregory Vengert. Edita Volovodovskaya.
Yes.
Dennis Verderis.
Yes.
Gloria Watkins.
Yes.
Joanne Weiss.
Yes.
Annette Wesley.
Yes.
Thank you, Annette. David Wynn. Kumali Zairi.
I didn't see her tonight.
She was on. She's on.
Okay, so again, call second roll call, move on.
Hannah, I'm sorry, this Boris. I just now could push the right button. I'm sorry. This Boris, Boris Pincus.
Yes, thank you. I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
You said yes, correct?
Yes, yes, exactly.
For you. Okay, thank you.
Would it be possible to extend our criminal administration papers already?
I'll do the count, Madam Chair, and I'll come back. Or
You're
should I
doing a roll call, right? You missed a few people that you needed to call back, or no?
Yeah, I'll go back just one more time. Aram Hanif, you there? Doyen Isaac. Bernard Kaufman. Pat O'Brien. Gregory Vingert. David Nguyen. Kumali Zairi.
You didn't ask me.
I apologize. Svetlana Zelenskaya.
Yes,
Thank you. You were covered. I apologize.
it's okay, no problem.
Well, if I didn't call your name, board members? Okay, Madam Chair, I'll tally it up. Thank you.
Also,
Okay, Pat Brown and Fran, we need to, please call me when you get a chance. We need to discuss, you guys need to be on camera. So let me finish, Fran. I don't want to discuss it now. If you would please call me, you guys need to be on camera to vote. So we're gonna try to make arrangements to get you guys some type of camera, etc. So please contact me and we will work something out, okay? It's just for voting, show your face, shut it back down. I really don't care. I just need to see the face, even though I recognize your voice, but unfortunately that's the rules, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, ladies. Okay, let's move on to the agenda. My report, the Assemblywoman spoke about the business meeting, so I thank her. Ari Kagan, Councilman Ari Kagan, I thank you for the visual for the 3 children. You know, our prayers are with the children as well as the mother, and it's just sad all around. With that being said, I also thank him for the co-naming for Frank for the from the pharmacy. It was nice. The family showed up. It was a beautiful event as well. And that's really all I'm gonna, well, no, that's not it. Also, I believe, Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong, it's October 23rd. Thank you, unless you were gonna talk about it, October 23rd. The governor has extended again. You should have gotten the email. It's been extended again, so we'll keep doing Zoom. And once again, if we need to go back, if we need to do hybrid meetings, we have to have a discussion with the executive committee, because if I recall correctly, it wasn't finalized as to if we were doing only committees and the full board, but we will cross that bridge when it comes, because it looks like they just keep extending it over and over again. I want to remind people, I send out another reminder about business cards. Please follow the rules. We have no issues and we'll be fine. Tomorrow, Lucia is going to send out an email, some information we got from the Conflict of Interest Board today regarding protocol with community boards and their members and their roles. The Borough President's Office, I believe, had given it to us during our orientation, but sometimes we forget. I forget a lot of things, but we need to refresh our memories. So thank you. That is my report. Zinara, you have a question?
Yes. So this year, New York City is doing redistricting for city council. So my question was if at the next community board, we could have someone present on that, because no?
No, I'll see if we could or if we can't, because it's all political, but I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say they're accepting public testimony, and there's draft maps and it's a whole process. So if you can find out, it would be good for us to be knowledgeable, because this does impact our day-to-day and what our community gets. So if we can be educated on this process and how we could participate, I think
thank you,
in a non-political way. Yes.
Eddie, will you find that out for me, please? So we can get that going. Thank you. Cynthia, we're now in business session. It's only for board members. Thank you very much for for being able to participate.
She is a board member.
Oh, she is?
Yes.
Apologize.
Cynthia? I don't recall the last name. Sorry, I apologize.
Go ahead.
Now I'm gonna look at my list. Go ahead, dear.
That's okay, thank you. I'm one of the new ones. So I don't know if this is the proper time to ask, but I just had a follow-up question with respect to Chairperson. You sent the letter regarding the renaming of Brighton Beach Avenue at Coney Island. I just wanted to know if there was any update from the council member about that letter. This was during the summertime. We were on break, and I think
Eddie, can you elaborate on that?
It was Ukrainian Way.
Yes.
And they had the ceremony over the summer, and they did not go through us. So,
Okay, thank you.
yes, okay.
Does that answer your question, Cynthia? And I apologize. I just didn't put the whole name together, so my apologies.
No, it didn't. No problem. Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, so I think someone had a question in the chat. And is Erica? Okay, so Erica, you can unmute yourself and go ahead. Erica?
Yes, so the meeting that I was referring to about the boardwalk would be at City Hall on October 3rd at 1 p.m. Or like I said, you could watch it online.
Okay, if you have any additional information, Erica, we'll just have to send it out later. Thank you.
All right.
I mute myself. Eddie is now gonna talk, and he's gonna talk about the budget. Eddie Mark.
Okay, before going to the budget, let me just update on what has been happening over the summer. As you know, we had a good summer with the fireworks, good 4th of July, hot dog eating contest we had. And I don't know if anyone knows, but the Alliance for Coney Island is looking for an executive director. So the opening is there. We also had the Surf Point Recovery Center open up this past September. It's on 23rd Street and Surf Avenue. It's a new addition to the community, so let people know that it's there. And we're also in the process of looking for office space because if people haven't known what has happened the last 2 or 3 weeks, our elevator hasn't worked. So we are currently looking for office space in the area. So if anyone knows anything, just give us a call and we'll research it. Now, going into the budget needs that we had done over the last 5 meetings, we had went over the district needs for the capital and expense. And what has happened was certain thing, majority of the budget that we requested for FY 2023 was not approved. So what has happened was we made some modifications to it, whereas just going quickly through some of them, whereas the beach, we mentioned to put in a study for wave action when rebuilding the boardwalk. That was one of the parts we had mentioned. We also mentioned, I don't want to go through the whole thing because it's pretty much the same thing. The only thing that Tatiana wanted to mention, you can mention it now. You can request it.
Go ahead, Tatiana.
Oh, yes. Good evening. I would like to add the following item to the new budget. I would like to propose allocating funds for an existing social services and legal organization to set up a branch in Coney Island in order to provide assistance to the vulnerable population, domestic violence victims, single moms, and low-income residents living with serious mental health concerns. So this is in light of what happened recently in Coney Island. It has to do with the death of 3 young children. So this funding would disrupt and dismantle cycles of hospitalization, homelessness, and incarceration by providing direct legal and social work services. Among possible legal organizations would be Urban Justice Center, Mental Health Project, and the NILAG Legal Health Project. Concerning the possible grant providers, I think they might be the HRA, New York City Department of Homeless Services, and New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene.
Okay, all right. We could put that in to the budget. Right now, I'm not sure, since this is a new entry, we could put it in the expense part because this is a program. And I don't, if there's any objections to that, because that's, like you said, with the circumstances that had just happened, I think it is well needed, service that we can put in. And I think something like that, it's a good idea to put into our future needs. We have Susan and we have Zanera right after that. Go ahead, Susan.
Good evening, Eddie. Thank you. Earlier this evening, was talking with my co-chair of the Parks Committee, Barbara Teitelbaum, and she wanted to raise for, I guess, possible discussion, an item that was in the capital needs wish list for the Parks Department about removing from the list of projects from the capital wish list, the request for the construction of a bikeway parallel to the entire length of the beach. And there was a motion that was presented at the committee to remove this from the list of capital wishes, capital needs. And Barbara asked that I brought up, even though the motion passed in the committee, whether or not there should be some discussion or notification to the rest of the board.
Okay, since this is a draft of the need, if it never leaves committee, you don't have to bring it up to the full board. So we just leave it out this year. You know, if you want to bring it back in next year, we can bring it back in next year. But at the request of the committee who was present, you can, it doesn't have to be, because remember, all of this is a wish list. Nothing is set in stone. And this doesn't have to go through the board. The final part has to go through the board. But if it doesn't, if it's not worthy to be put on it through the committee level, it could be, you know, taken off of that list. Okay, so it's taken off, so you don't have to worry about voting on it again. It's just off. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So and we have Pat Singer. Unmute. Pat, you have to hit the unmute button. You still got to hit the unmute button. I can't hear her at all. Pat,
come on,
there you
you
go.
didn't
Here you go.
know.
There you go. All right.
Hey, the item for HPD funding, last year there was no HPD funding.
Okay.
And groups like B&A need that money.
Sure.
I was dropped from 4 to 5. I'd like to know why.
It dropped from 4 to 5 last year or this year?
Oh, this year you dropped it from 4 to 5.
We didn't drop it down at all.
I read that
Hold on.
in your minutes.
Let me see. Hold on. I'm just going through.
Something about the same answer or something?
No, no, we made a change with number 9 and 10.
10, right.
That was basically the police precinct getting fixed versus
Oh, this is HPD funding. It was
yeah, but
number 4 and you made it number 5.
let me see. I'm just trying to see.
What she's talking about.
I got it as number 4. Oh wait, he wants to move it 5 for move 4 to 5. I mean, I think what he wants, what number 5 was. I don't have number 5 in front of me. Sorry, guys.
We don't ask for much, but that was important
But-
funding.
What, Eddie,
Oh.
was it moved?
No, not yet. We're talking
Okay.
about moving the position now. So, Michael Silverman, because you made that indication of moving it from 4 to 5.
Yes.
Do you remember, Michael?
Eddie, correct me if I'm wrong. The order really doesn't make a difference, correct?
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. I mean, whatever is put in top 3 is
Why
usually what you
change
look
it?
at.
I'm just I'm saying, if I remember correctly, if you put 1 in number 50, they're gonna look at all 50, but they're gonna ignore us anyway, so it really doesn't make a
but they
difference.
have to read
That
it.
right.
Yeah, but they
That's
have to
right.
read it, as it comes along. So when it
Mhm.
gets down, someone has to be number 1, 2, and 3. So
Mhm.
that's gonna get the
Okay.
first sight.
I'm just asking. Okay.
All right, let's see. I'm just
So
trying
what
to-
are we doing now, Eddie? Are we voting on this,
No,
or
no.
is this just a
we're-
discussion, or
we're-
what?
This is for discussion right now. Next month, I will give you the final print of what people has mentioned today, and also what is needed to be put in. If anything is needed to be taken out, like the bike lane, that will be taken out. And we'll give a
Mhm.
final draft of that before it gets voted on by the board. Okay.
Okay, so does anybody have any objection to Tatiana's recommendation?
I have a,
Zanera.
I have a quick question. So in Tatiana's request to, kind of like fund organizations, they're not specific organizations. I think like she just listed some recommended. Can we suggest funds for recommended groups? We haven't really done vetting, or do we have to pick one? And
No, I don't think we're here to choose the actual group. It's more of the idea of getting someone dealing with mental health and someone dealing with legal part. I think it's more those are the people that she knows, and we don't know anyone more than that as what do you call it, as a go-to right now. It might be chosen by something different from the city, when it comes down to it. Or if it comes out as an RFP, they might whoever the best one can write a grant, can get the funding from it. All right. Pat, you're still raised, or are you?
No, it's a Selena now.
Selena, sorry. Selena, hit mute.
Okay, thank you. Since we're talking about this, I want to know, is it appropriate for me to ask the question about the health and education budget or request when it asks for number 10 and it says other programs to address public health issues are requested, and it mentions address air quality in the NYCHA developments. And I would think that it should be air quality throughout the whole area, because it's not limited, doesn't stop at one spot. It's open. We've been talking about this for years. So I think it should be everyone should, the air quality is affecting us all. So we want to make sure they're taken care of. We want to make sure we're taken care of. We want to make sure the whole peninsula is taken care of.
All right, we can change that. I'm not sure if that was under NYCHA or if it was under a health committee, but looking at it right now, it's under health. So we can make it more than just NYCHA, okay?
Thank you. To include everyone.
All right,
Thank you.
let's see.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Okay, Eddie, you want to continue then?
Okay, all right. So come in October, we will have the full board again to review this and see if there's any other changes that comes up between now and then. And if there isn't any, we'll put this through once again to the city of New York.
Eddie, may I request that you have some type of PowerPoint or slides to,
Oh, yes, no, I will
next
have
month?
the
Because
printed one.
I didn't attend any of the meetings and I am totally lost.
Okay, all right. I would definitely have something like that, so you can see the order of the.
We'd appreciate that, so people can see the A to the B. Thank you.
All right, Jeff?
Jeff, you're the last one. We're gonna move on.
Yes.
Okay, just to piggyback on what Selena was talking about, the air quality. The governor and DEC has started a program to air monitoring the New York State as a whole, but in particular, Manhattan and the Bronx so far. And I haven't seen anything with relationship to Coney Island yet. And I'm trying to get a meeting together. Eddie's going to help me with DEC to try to get and push for the study to be done in Coney Island, Brighton Beach area. And this is a very important part because we are in environmental justice area. And I feel that we're being neglected and we're not chopped liver.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One interesting part about that, Jeff, is that they did choose our area, but it was on the Shell Row where they had Beach Haven, where they had the problem with the Beach Haven dumping. And that's where they consider the air quality was bad. But we want it to extend over to Coney Island and Brighton Beach
Yeah,
because we know it
there's
just didn't stop there.
NYCHA housing there, Gravesend housing, all the other housing that are there.
Yep.
It's the Coney Island Creek. There's a lot of areas in Brighton Beach too. We're filled with asthma and other health issues, and we got to push to make sure that they extend the line just from that Shell Road area.
Yes.
So be on the lookout for that meeting.
Well appreciated, Jeff, as always. Thank you very much.
Okay. Oh, wait,
Erica, no, I cannot interrupt the meeting to keep bringing up topics. If you have anything, please email it to the office and we'll forward it. I apologize.
Okay.
I have to continue with my agenda. Eddie, go ahead.
One last thing, I'm gonna let either Susan or Barbara pick it up, but there was a renaming of the of the park, Scarangella, and there was a motion made at the committee, but when we do the committee report, I'll let them talk about that, what was asked of the.
Which committee report?
From the Parks Department. Or
There
it
is
could
no
be
they're not listed.
or it could be under old business, new business.
Well,
because-
they're not listed to report, so
Well, it's just a renaming of the park. That's what it comes down to.
that would be new business.
New business. Okay.
Okay, so-
we'll let them talk about that then.
Not a
okay?
problem. Anything else with the
That's
budget?
it. Everything's good.
Okay, great. Let's move on. Treasurer's report, I'm moving the agenda differently. Treasurer's report will be announced at the October meeting. We apologize for the inconvenience. Correspondence and communications and correspondence by Sam.
Hi, good evening. We have two items on the list. Fred Schneider co-naming of West 12th Street and Neptune Avenue, 4 p.m. October 12th. 4 p.m. October 12th for co-naming for Fred Schneider on West 12th Street and Neptune Avenue. And the second item was actually posted on the Facebook for the Community Board 13. They need volunteers for the International Coastal Cleanup Day, Kaiser Park, Coney Island, this Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., Kaiser Park, to help clean up the place. So thank you very much for this Saturday. If you're available, 9:30 to 2 o'clock, Kaiser Park. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. As always, please follow us on Facebook. Lucia and Eddie and I control the account. We try our best to place everything up there. If you have anything that you would like us to place on there, please forward it to us, as well as Eddie does a newsletter weekly. So now we have Zanara and Pat O'Brien talking about the community. They're on the Community Advisory Board for WIN. So is it going to be both of you or is just you, Zanara?
Just me.
Okay.
I don't think Pat is
How much
on.
time do you think you need, my dear?
Give me like 2-3 minutes. I'll
give you 5. How's that?
Perfect. I'll be quick with my report, and if anyone has questions, I will try my best to either take them down or answer them. But I am, good evening, everyone. I'm reporting on behalf of the Community Advisory Board. We had a meeting and a tour with DMS Family Shelter. This took place July 14th, 3:30 p.m. The CAB members in attendance were Pat O'Brien, Gloria Watkins, myself, and we had Community Board 13 District Manager Eddie Mark with us. It was a really great meeting and tour. We got to meet the facilitators, WIN, which is the vendor that is kind of overseeing the operations at the shelter. They gave us some really good information that I thought was beneficial for you all. So this is as of the July 14th meeting that we had. 195 out of 198 units were occupied. That is 237 adults, 204 children. Some of the residents are non-English speaking. Some of them are bilingual. So keep in mind, anything that they do needs to really be accessible to people that don't speak English. Every unit has a bunk bed. If there are toddlers or infants, a crib can be provided. Many of these are single parent families with very young or small children. In the facility, there are 78 school-age children, and that was a big focus of our meeting, was how are we servicing the children and infants? Majority of the families have infants or toddlers. Since the last CAB meeting, and we have them quarterly, 48 families have left and gone into permanent housing, and that could be through city voucher programs like Section 8 or NYCHA or some kind of family reunification. There's only about like 3 families that have been there since the site opened, which has been around like a year. We discussed curfew. So in summer, there was a curfew 11 p.m. For the school year, the curfew is 9 p.m. As of right now, social services are provided Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That might have expanded since summer's been over. 2 big issues that we've noticed, and we discussed this in the meeting, is there is no Department of Education liaison. There is supposed to be one assigned to the site to kind of help the young children and the families when it comes to Department of Education and the school system. There has never been a liaison assigned to this site. And this is really concerning because, as we were talking about, there's a significant number of school-age children at the site. They're also short on social workers. They should have 7 social workers. They only have 1. And this is as of the July tour and meeting that we had. During the tour, we got to see every unit. Every unit has its own AC, its own heat system, its own fan. The building itself has cameras. They don't show across the street or the surrounding area. They just show the building, but it is a useful tool for them. We talked about security and incidents. Actually, we even had the local precinct with us at the meeting at the beginning. And they said that in the past month that they've had about like 12 incidents, and only one was considered a serious case, which was a domestic violence case between a mother and a teenage son. They do have protocol for domestic violence cases, and that was executed for this case as well. And they said that residents are dealing with crime just like the local area is, right? 2 of their residents had cars stolen, 2 people were robbed. In the nearby area, there's a lot of double parking, there's loitering. So they're kind of struggling with the same things that we do just in the neighborhood. In terms of the building itself, the one thing that they have to work on is the window guards. They're required to get chain locks on all the windows. Luckily, they have identified a vendor from Seagate to work on this, so they hope to have it resolved very, very shortly. So it was a really great meeting. We had been pushing for this for a while. So it was good to see the facility. It was good to see the staff. They're very dedicated. We got to ask our questions and get to like really discover and see the facility itself. So that is my report. If anyone has questions, if I can't answer it, I will take it back to the facility and see if they can provide an answer.
Sarah, I really appreciate, and I appreciate you giving a report, and Pat as well, being part of the advisory board. I believe we have another member on the board. Eddie, can you refresh my memory?
Gloria.
It's Gloria.
Okay, Gloria, thank you. And so I hope she had the opportunity to go if she did not, or like if she went previously. So I thank each and every one of you with that. I would like you to reach out to the council office on the Board of Education issue. That is a city issue, and see if we can work something together to see if we can help this establishment.
Okay.
Jeff, you have a question for Zanera?
Yes. Hi, Zanera. I was wondering if they have any type of job training programs for the women there. You know, because they have a daycare, right?
Yes,
Where
yes.
they can leave the kids there and then go to the jobs.
Yes, they do have a childcare facility, and they were just preparing to open up one for younger infants and younger children as well. So that looked like a really great facility. When we didn't discuss it at this meeting and tour, but when we had our first meeting as an advisory board, we did talk about the support system that they provide individuals when it comes to writing resumes and prep and stuff like that. I'm happy to touch base with them. It's not just women at the facility. Sometimes it is single fathers and such, but that is to keep in mind that these are small families with very young children. But I'll look into that. That's a good question.
Barbara, and then I have, and then Gloria, and then I have a request that you can bring back as well as, or you, Gloria, or whoever would like to bring it back.
What I thought is maybe we can get in touch with our former council member, Mark Traeger. Since he's a liaison for the Board of Ed, maybe he's the way you can get what you need.
Yeah, Pat actually had the same exact thought immediately, Barbara. And he did reach out to former councilman Mark Traeger. He gave Pat a contact at the Board of Education and said that, you know, he understands that this is an urgent matter, especially here in Southern Brooklyn. That person explained to me and Pat that the Department of Education has been going through staff shortages over the summer, which is valid, right? A lot of places are going through staff shortages, but it's not as of this summer that there hasn't been a liaison. There has never been a liaison assigned to this site. And that is a disservice, right, to the young children and the families that are at this shelter. So we want to escalate this. Maybe we will circle back with the formal councilman. Maybe we'll circle back with that contact. I think we are ready to kind of pursue both avenues at the same time. I don't think that's, you know, does any harm, but that, you know, that's a really good suggestion.
Zanera, I believe that the topic on the leasing is going to take long. So can we like shorten the answers, Gloria? You're next, and then I have just one request that, like I said, anyone on the advisory board can bring back. I don't want to pick on one person. And Lakeisha, you had something that you placed in the comments. Would you like to say it, or would you like me to read it? Ms. Bowers.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. And then Gloria.
So sitting on a CEC and also meeting with the superintendent, I can definitely bring it to both tables. As far as resumes and employment, I've been out of work a year, but I know that Workforce One is actually working with them, and I'm returning back to work October 1st. So I will be hosting a huge job fair there. And somebody asked another question. I can't remember it, but Lucy, I'll send you an email of everything once I think of the last question that was there.
Not a problem. And then we're going to go with Gloria, and I understand that Joe Carice has his hand up and not through the function. Gloria, go ahead, and please make these responses short. We you know, it is almost 9 and we have EDC still here.
Okay, I just wanted to talk on the shelter. We was talking to the director, and they seem to have a problem trying to place some of their families into some of these buildings in our community. I tried a couple of times, and it's difficult getting through Grenadier, where the main office for some of these HPD buildings. So I just want to bring that to the table, that they're having a hard time placing more people in our community in these buildings. That's it.
Thank you, Gloria. Again, I'm going to throw that to the council, but with that being said, we all know that everyone here is got to go on a lottery, and they have more resources than we do personally because of their situation. When I say they, I mean the administrators. So, but we thank you, and we will look at, again, we can look into that. I do have something, like I said, I want to bring to the attention. You mentioned that they have cameras within the surroundings of the building. I have a concern about that. If you or anyone can bring it back, that if they can extend those cameras to maybe look across the street, and don't tell me no, because my cameras in my house go across the street, which I had 6-0 here the other day for something. So if that would be something that I personally would think it would be great for the community. And Joe Carice, and that's it.
Thank you. I will. Can you have one of the advisory members get involved with the Kiwanis Club? Call me and give me the number of the director or yourself that I can talk to. I think we might be able to do some things to help them. Okay?
Very nice. Thank you very much. We're going to move on with the agenda, guys. So thank you again, Zanera, for that great report. I'm going to switch to committees. Sorry, Yelena. Let's go with Michael Russo. Go ahead, and then we'll go to licensing. Michael, did we lose you?
I'm trying to, just unmuted myself. Like I said, we had a committee meeting and the two things that came up was, one was the extension of the lease, and the second one was the boardwalk. This extension of the lease, we made a motion to approve the extension, because at the time, from what I remember, there was no one in dissent. There was no one talking about the people that the subleases, the subtenants, all gave. They were all happy with the new lease, and I didn't hear any other things. So we made the motion to extend the lease. I apologize. And then when we were talking about the boardwalk, I was talking about different than what most of the people were thinking, as far as the Parks Department with the renewal on the board, the fixing of the boardwalk. I personally believe that we should go with the better boardwalk. This new thing that Ida was talking about today, I just heard about that today. I was listening to the news this morning. I heard about that today, and I am in 100% agreement with Ida. We should look into. I don't know if we made a motion on that.
No.
That wasn't made. It was only
No.
the vote.
That wasn't made. Well, what do you call it? I think we should look into more about the resiliency, what the Army Corps wants to do. There's no reason to spend money and then it's going to get torn out.
I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Michael, but does that have to do with the leasing?
No, I'm just covering both things that was going on with the lease.
Right, but we need to stay on one topic and then we could always talk about the other one, because
Okay.
I was getting a little confused there. I just want to go with the leasing. Let's talk about that and you can talk about anything else afterwards.
All right. Well, like I said, we made the motion, and we should bring it to the committee, and it was seconded. We should bring it to the full board and have to vote on it.
Can we call the motion, please?
I believe that Michael Quinn has something to say about this. Is he still with us?
I'm always with you. Yeah,
Okay,
I'd like to
Dan.
make a motion.
The motion is on the floor.
Okay.
Okay.
CB13 supports the lease extension on the condition that all revenue raised by the city in their proposed lease extension plan be returned to the Coney Island community directly in the form of supplementary programs and projects to address the neighborhood's social, economic, and environmental challenges.
Thank you, Michael. And Michael Silverman's going to help me out with the way I just ran this.
Okay,
situation.
Michael, you want to make an amendment to the motion on the floor?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so you amended how?
Supporting the lease extension on the condition that all revenue raised by the city and their proposed lease extension plan be returned to the Coney Island community directly in the form of supplementary programs, projects to address the neighborhood's social, economic, and environmental challenges.
So Michael Silverman, correct me if I'm wrong, we would have to take a vote on the amendment alone, and then we would have to take another vote on the motion if the amendment passes, then we would have to take another vote to include the amendment. Am I correct? We would have to take two votes.
The amendment first has to be seconded.
Correct. And
Okay, and then if it's seconded, that's the vote that we take. That's going to wipe out the first,
if it passes,
right?
and if it doesn't pass, we go back to the original motion on the
Yes.
table. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was getting that right. Jeff?
Yes, after the second motion, if it's seconded, don't we have a discussion on that too?
You can.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so now my question is there a second motion for Michael Quinn's request?
I'd like to second it.
You're gonna, Pat Singer, second his request. Now.
Mario, can you hear me?
We're done, Mario, thank you. discussion on the amendments from Michael Quinn and Pat Singer. Jeff,
Okay, the First Amendment was going to give, the New York City was going to give 50% of the rent to the community. There's no percentage in your motion. What do you want to give, 100%?
that's what he wants,
Yes.
100%. That's what he's saying.
You want 100% of the rent that New York City gets to go to the community?
50% had to do with the
Pat,
skip.
everybody don't jump in, please don't jump in. I'll call you, please.
Is that correct, Michael?
That's what I said, yes.
Okay, so now I'm gonna go to the young ladies that I'm gonna go to Michael Silverman, and then we're gonna go around in circles here. Thank you.
Literally.
I know I'm going backwards, but there was a problem with the original motion from the committee, because if I remember it correctly, at that time, we did not know that it was 50%.
Yes.
Is that correct?
No.
We did. But it wasn't, we did, and it was, go ahead, Mike.
But the motion doesn't say that.
Understood. So we can have another motion on the table after we vote on this amendment. Okay, so bear with me, give me some minutes here. And then Michael Silverman, please always interrupt me so I get it correct. I'm gonna go with Joanne Weiss.
Okay, as far as I can remember, the motion was based on the fact that 50% was going to go back to parks.
Yes.
Not to the city, not to us, but to parks to use. And there's nowhere in the motion itself does that say that. So, but I just want to clarify, that money was supposed to go to parks, not to the community itself.
Okay, so are you then thinking of doing a motion after we vote on Michael Quinn's motion?
I haven't decided.
Okay, so leave it
Trying to
alone.
figure it out.
Well, I don't want to confuse everyone. That's what I'm saying. I want to try to get on track or stay on track. Michael Russo.
So is it 50% of the total from the leased land of the Thunderbolt? Or is it
Yes.
wait, I'm not done. Or is it 50% of the profit of the total from the leased land from the Thunderbolt?
If I'm correct, of course, I'll have EDC jump in, but if I recall, it is 50% of what the Thunderbolt receives.
No, because you have expenses. There's expenses, there's labor, there's overhead, there's insurance, there's electric. You know, there's all costs to run the Thunderbolt.
Well,
So-
the actual question, Michael, is it gross or net, right?
Exactly.
Is EDC here? Still?
Yes, they're still here.
Hi, yes, this is Malia. And so we get a percentage rent from CAI that is a proportion of a percentage of gross receipts they receive from their operations. And so 50% of what EDC receives from CAI in that percentage rent structure will be directed to the Parks Department for use in Coney Island.
Okay, we're not gonna discuss the 50%. What's on the floor right now is Michael Quinn's with the 100%. Michael Russo, are you still speaking or you're done?
I understand it better now, thank you.
Okay, Yelena.
Hold on a second. Good evening again. Actually, I have a question. Maybe I did not understand from the presentation, but I believe what we were talking about voting in adding piece of land that was not included previously. So what 50% we are talking about from this piece of property or 100% from this piece of property, what we are voting for? If I remember correctly, the lease extension was approved back in December 2021 by City Council. and EDC came back to us because of this piece of property. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right.
So what are we talking about?
I think what's on the floor now is not that they're not discussing that. The discussion is about the 50% or 100%. Michael Quinn is requesting that 100% goes, and they are offering 50%. So that's what mainly the discussion is right now. Dennis, I'm sorry. Pat Singer, I'm sorry, Pat, go ahead. Because I keep forgetting because you're going like this and I'm looking at the other hands.
I'm just saying that as far as I understand it, the 50% is coming from a strip of land, a small strip. I don't know how much money you're going to generate from that strip, but I think we should do more for Coney Island and their programs. And if we can give them more than 50%, I say go for it. They need
Okay. So Dennis.
Just to be, wait, I just want to just clarify really quickly. It's not just 50% of the Thunderbolt. It's 50% of the overall revenue that EDC receives. Emily, I want you to speak to that to make sure I'm speaking to that right.
I'll give her 30 seconds in a minute, but let me just let the other two board members speak. So maybe that way you don't need to jump in twice if there's anything you need to add on to it. Dennis and then Zanera.
Well, I'd just like to hear from Michael Quinn as to his suggestion where these revenues will go, to whom, what organization will handle these revenues that Michael Quinn is suggesting be spent in Coney Island. Who's going to manage those funds and who will decide where they're being spent?
It goes directly into the community instead to the Parks Department. And I think there's many people in the community that needs that help. They need those services. So we can, under discretion, we can give it. I mean, this it's not about it specifically where it's going right now in my in the amendment here, but I think the community, we should all decide who needs it, who needs this money, and I think we need to give back to the community of Coney Island.
Right, Michael. But before we vote on something like that, wouldn't it make much more sense to know who's going to be handling these funds? Right. Is it a non-for-profit like the Alliance for Coney Island? Is it? What is it?
Well, when it goes to the Parks Department, what do they do with it? You know, I think we can decide where it goes, and it should go to the appropriate place and places that it need.
Who?
Well, I'd like to know I'd like to know who's going to be in charge of it once it comes back to Coney Island. That's my question.
Michael, that's a vital thing.
Okay, and let's not jump in. Let's not jump in, please. We're very organized here. Let's not jump in. Michael Quinn, and I think can you please answer the question if possible?
Specifically, I don't know. I know where it belongs. I mean, when any money's allocated, obviously, but who's gonna? I mean, that's a further discussion. Right now, I think that there's going to be money there, and it should go in places that invest back into the community.
Dennis?
Well, I invest back into the community. The Alliance invests back into the community. Luna Park invests back into the community. And if I'm paying rent to the city, I'd like to know how that money is going to be.
I believe, I'm going to interrupt you guys. I believe, just to clarify, and I'm not an expert here, but I have you, Michael Silverman. Do you want to speak on something, or can I continue, Michael Silverman? I believe we would have to designate it to Apple to be able to spread it to Banana. I'm just going to use that because I don't want to say Alliance and I don't want to say everybody says. Right. So you need to be more clear on what you're saying, Mr. Quinn, not just 100%. We need to know which Apple is gonna handle it to spread it to Banana. And with that being said, in this situation, this is a scenario right now, it's Parks, and we've already made it clear that we want Parks. Well, we didn't make it clear that we want Parks to handle it, but some of us are okay with Parks, as long as they tell the community where and when they intend to spend it, so we can have an input.
Well, I think that should be a further discussion. I mean, I can't, at this moment.
Well, then,
I think
I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. We're going to take a vote in a minute. We're going to leave it alone.
It's pretty clear what I said.
You have no idea, Michael. Stop.
Yeah.
You have no idea who you want to designate. All you're saying is 100. I'm going to let that sit there, and we'll take a vote when we're ready. Michael Silverman.
I was only going to say that the amendment does not make sense to vote on if we don't know where it's going. Okay, if you decide ultimately that it goes to parks, the key is it's the 100%, not the 50%. But I don't see how we can actually, as a board, vote for something that doesn't have an end to it, where it's going.
I appreciate that comment, Michael, but Michael Quinn is very adamant and we'll take a vote on what
Can I
he's
say
saying.
something?
Stop.
Just one thing.
Pat, give me a second to finish. I'm trying to organize this so we can all be fair. Michael Silverman, I respect what you're saying, and Dennis is trying to tell him.
I want to qualify why I'm saying it.
And Dennis is trying to say the same exact thing. Michael Quinn is just continues to say he's talking about the 100%. He doesn't know where it's going. And if we need to take a vote on that, then we will. And then, if it fails, it fails. Now, Pat Singer, you can talk. You need to unmute yourself, dear.
I saw $8 million come down years ago from the two of our elected officials for the boardwalk. And now I see we're back at the drawing table again, looking at much more money to fix the boardwalk. And I still don't have an accounting of what was used by that $8 million. You're saying Parks, they had that money. What did they do?
But what agency would you like it to go to, Pat?
I think it could be solved, and hear me, I'm not sure if I'm muted. I think it could be solved through an RFP and have somebody like the Alliance or a credible group like the Alliance put a proposal out there and how they would let them come up with. Huh?
To do what?
To put the money at the right source or the right program or whatever.
Okay, so Pat, you're requesting the Alliance. Is that what you're saying?
I'd be happy with the Alliance.
Okay, enough.
I'm not saying.
Fana, and then Barbara, then I'm gonna have EDC talk. Fania.
Oh, sorry, I did not know that you're calling me. I'm listening and listening and listening, and I don't understand. Right now, you're talking about the profit that this rent brings, that this business brings by renting the land from the community. And someone is asking 100% of the profit, and some is asking 50%. This is one question I don't understand. It does not make any sense for a business to give away 100% of the profit. This is one question that I have. And another question, if we really are talking, I even don't understand what kind of money. Are we talking about $5,000 or we're talking about $100,000?
Okay, I'll let EDC respond to you about the amount. I don't have that. And the other one was not a question, it was more a comment on your behalf that you just don't agree that 100% should be given, out from the 100% of the profit should just be given out to the community. Thank you. Barbara, and then EDC.
I agree with Michael Silverman. If I know I'm voting on something, I need to know who's the conduit for that money. Not knowing that, I am not doing my fiduciary responsibilities in this case. And I have to do it for this board and this community. That means we have to know this before we can vote for this.
You can, and Michael Silverman, correct me if I'm wrong, because Pat Singer has requested, and I guess it was part of the motion, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael Silverman, she has indicated that she herself would like it to go to the Alliance. So if we move forward, if I'm correct, and if I'm not, Michael Silverman will let me know that it will be the Alliance and at 100%. Go ahead, Silverman.
Then Michael Russo has to fix his amendment. Okay, change the wording to include that it's going to the Alliance.
Okay. No, Zanera, I'm sorry. No one else is gonna speak. EDC, please.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, everyone. So I just want to kind of clarify some things because I feel like there's a lot of confusion here. So I think it goes back to the point of back in December of 2021, we got the third amendment to the special process agreement, which approved us extending the lease for the majority of the property that was pretty much all that green area, if you're somewhat remembering the presentation. The borough board and what we're asking for your support is related solely on the Thunderbolt. So I just wanted to kind of refocus our attention. That's what we're
Now
talking
it's solely on.
However, the 50% that we give to parks is for the overall green plus, again, the Thunderbolt parcel. So it's much more than what, 100% of the Thunderbolt that we're talking about tonight. So I just wanted to kind of keep that in mind as we're kind of talking through this. And again, this is somewhat built into the lease, and I appreciate everyone's comments here, but I do want to just remind folks that I don't know, and I'm not sure how binding the stipulation would actually be. So I just want to keep all that in mind as you all are discussing this tonight. Emily, I think can speak to I guess how like the number or ballpark that I think we're looking at when we're talking about revenue.
Sure. As an example, last year, we received from CAI just under 2 million in percentage rent. A portion of that came from the Thunderbolt. And so that that Thunderbolt revenue is to be split and 50% directed to parks projects and capital investments in the Coney Island community.
Thank you, Milana. Joe Carice, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
I just want to add one more thing. I mean, just to kind
Go
of
ahead,
talk,
Justin.
yeah, just to talk about like overall investment, because we're talking about obviously like taking care of the Coney Island, boardwalk and amusement district. I think CAI alone has invested a little over 85 million into the boardwalk area. So I just want to kind of throw that out as we're talking about, taking care of the community and really and truly investing in the boardwalk. I just want to kind of make sure that folks are aware that, the investment is being made despite this extension process, right? The city is caring about Coney Island and constantly, trying to further invest into this area. So I just want you all to keep that in mind as we're talking about, this process as well.
Thank you. Joe Carice. Take your time, dear. While he's trying to unmute himself, Michael Silverman, I would have really appreciated, I have an understanding of the voting, but I would appreciate it if you can break it down for us.
Okay, now I'm lost. What do you mean? We have to vote
Okay,
on the
so my
amendment first?
Okay, so Joe's here.
Let me just finish for a moment. We seem to not really be clarified as to what piece of land or the whole land. We don't know what percentage we really want or where the percentage of the money should go. And we don't know where we want it to go. And I'm sure that's why they said the Parks Department, because that's the easiest place that they can, at least if nothing else, have the appropriate control of it. Not that I'm saying to do anything wrong with it. So I think that it's really inappropriate to vote for all these things in one particular session as to what's going on. There's too many questions in this one thing to vote for us. At least that's how I see it.
Okay, thank you. So back to my question to Michael Silverman. Michael Quinn would like 100% of the proceeds to go to the community. He has no idea who will handle it. And Pat Singer volunteered the Alliance without speaking to the Alliance. And then I think you mentioned something about Michael Russo. So please clarify this for me.
There's only one valid amendment on the floor right now. Okay, and that's Michael Quinn's, and he's asking for 100% Doesn't tell us where it's going, but that's his amendment to the committee's recommendation.
Okay, thank you. So we're gonna move on. And those who would like to vote, Hannah, are you ready? Hannah?
Yes, sorry, I'm here.
Okay, so what we're voting on is Quinn's request to have 100% of the proceeds given to the community with no idea where it's going.
Okay.
So if you want to agree with Michael Quinn, you vote yes. If you disagree with Michael Quinn, you vote no. And if you would like to abstain, you abstain or recuse yourself. Are we on this, or is everybody understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have
If
the
it's,
second?
yeah, right, well, yeah, we did have a second, I think it was Pat Singer. I lost track, but I believe it was Pat or Mario, one of them.
It was
The
Pat
motion
Singer.
was made by
Yes.
Michael Quinn and seconded by Pat Singer.
Okay.
And
If it's voted down, then we go back to the original committee's recommendation with Michael Russo's amendments. Correct?
No. Michael
Yes.
Russo doesn't have an amendment on the floor yet.
Then we'll cross that bridge in a minute. Let's vote on this. I got you,
First
Michael
Amendment,
Silverman.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair, correct?
What is your question, Hannah?
We're going with Michael Quinn's, his first amendment, correct? This is what we're voting.
Correct.
Okay.
So again, I'm gonna repeat it. He would like 100% to go to the community, but no idea who's gonna handle the funds. We're not gonna have a further discussion on this. No one raise your hand. Don't look at me, don't wave, don't dance. It's not gonna happen. Okay, we're gonna move forward. Okay. So now you need to have your camera on. You say your vote, you close your camera, you go back to your donut. Okay. Call me last. Move on, Hannah, go ahead.
Donut.
Okay, Zunaira Ahmed,
No.
Lakeisha Bowers. Come back. Dion Brown,
No.
Patricia Brown,
No.
Mario Caggiano,
Yes.
Marion Cleaver,
No.
Joe Carase,
No.
Asad Dandia,
No.
Lolita Divilova,
No.
Susan Flashenberg,
No.
Olga Fort,
Abstain.
Selena Grant. I'll come back. Selena, is that you?
Yeah, can you come back to me?
Madam Chair, is that okay? Okay, thank you. Yes, Selena, I'll come back to you. Ronald Greenberg. Ron, are you there?
Yes,
Okay, your vote is what?
my vote is yes.
Okay, thank you. Abram Hanif. Amaryllis Herrera. I'll come back.
No. No.
Okay, Amaryllis, thank you. Queenie Hewling. I'll come back. Doyen Isaac. Bernard Kaufman. Cynthia Lavelle.
No.
Yelena Mackin.
Abstain.
Alan Newman.
No.
Is Pat O'Brien here? No. Okay. Robin Wright Parison.
No.
Boris Pincus.
No.
Nodra.
No.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
No.
Thank you, Nodra. Milagros Quilas. Michael Quinn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you cut out there for, you're frozen. I'm sorry, Michael. Again?
He said yes.
Okay.
No.
No, I don't think that's what he said. Did everyone hear him?
He
I'm
said
sorry.
yeah. He could either say yes or no, and I'm assuming he's gonna say yes because he
Michael
made the
Quinn, can you
motion.
Please repeat yourself and don't shut up your camera.
Yes, yes. Can you
Thank
hear
you,
me?
Mike.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. You froze. Thank you. Yes, got it, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you. Money to the community. Thank you.
Sam Rinkowski,
No.
Michael Russo,
No.
Jeff Sanoff,
No.
Fran Schwartz,
I have no camera. I have no camera, so I can't vote.
Fran, you could vote this meeting. I said you will call the office and we'll
Oh.
work something out.
Okay, no.
Okay, thank you, Fran. Tatiana Siegel,
Abstain.
Michael Silverman,
No.
Pat Singer,
Yes.
Evelyn Strasser,
Yes.
Jack Subin,
No.
Barbara Teitelbaum,
No.
Vanya Vasilevsky,
No.
okay. Greg, Edita Vodovskaya,
Abstain.
Dennis Verderis,
I'd like to ask Michael Silverman if I can recuse myself, if I have to recuse myself, or if I can vote on this particular motion.
You can vote on this motion because it's not your money directly going to whatever that fund would be.
Okay. In that case, I vote no.
Gloria Watkins,
Abstain.
okay, thank you, Gloria. Joanne Weiss,
No.
Annette Wesley,
Yes.
Kamali Zairi,
Yes. Yes. No, 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 no. I vote no.
okay, Kamali, your vote is no. Okay, thank you. Svetlana Zelenskaya,
Abstain.
okay. Madam Chair, I need to tally it up. Just give me a moment. Thank you.
And my vote is no.
I apologize. You see, I always forget about you, Madam Chair.
That's quite fine. My vote is
Thank
no.
you. You vote no. Okay, thank you.
With her, she's tallying it, but based on all the no's that I heard, it failed. So we're gonna move on. So what I would like to do is make a motion on the table to vote in favor of the committee's.
No.
Can I finish my sentence and you tell me if I'm saying it right or wrong? I like to make an amendment to vote in favor of the committee supporting the letter with an amendment that 50% of the proceeds that goes to the parks is designated only to CB13. Did I do that right, Michael Silverman? Thank you. May I get a second?
You got it.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Lucy, just repeat it, please, what your motion was.
Yes, please, Madam Chair. Thank
It's
you.
the same motion from the beginning, the 50% of the revenues that is going to the Thunderbolt, that is going to give it to Parks, that Parks makes sure that it stays in CB13, it doesn't go to the Bronx. No
Okay, got
disrespect
it.
to the Bronx. But we want to keep it here, and that they work with us to advise us as to what the needs are for the funds.
Or you mean, Madam Chair, how they're spending the money?
Spend and what we probably request of the needs. Yes, sir. Okay.
You are
Now.
making the motion, Madam Chair?
Lucy, you could say, including our input for CB13.
Thank you. Okay. What was your question, Hannah? And then I'll move on.
I'm sorry. So you just made this motion, correct?
Correct.
So all right. Let's see. Motion go.
And I lost who seconded.
Joanne.
Joanne Weiss.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. So now we're gonna have people that want to discuss it. Selena.
Actually, I was going to say, I thought you were going to come back to me, but it's already been done and the motion's already out, so I have nothing else to discuss about it.
Thank you, Dia. Lakeisha.
Lucy, when you said that for CB13, can you repeat exactly what you said? Because I'm just trying to figure out if they come back to the board with CB13 about the money, where's the money gonna go? Did I?
It stays within, it goes to Parks, and then Parks has, Parks would only be able to use it within CB13, not within all parks.
Okay, and then
Meaning other boroughs.
Right, then who will keep record of what money is coming into and making sure that it stays in CB13?
That is open information, that's open public information.
Okay, thanks.
Fania.
1 second. I just want to make sure that if it goes to CB13, and we're gonna have to have input, I'm worried about our boardwalks. Would it go to at least repair partially boardwalks?
It would go designate. Parks handles a lot of things in New York City. It handles the boardwalk, it handles the Kaiser Park. What other parks? Help me out, guys, in the top of my head. Thank you. So, you got it? Michael Russo.
I'd like a little clarification from EDC. Is it 50% of the Thunderbolt, or is it 50% of the land that we just added to the lease? And
so, yeah, I understand the question. It's so again, what we're talking about tonight specifically is the Thunderbolt. However, what was already approved includes the 50% of parks, 50% going to parks, and it being used for Coney Island parks, capital projects.
So that's the full Thunderbolt, not the piece we just added.
Not the piece we're just talking about tonight. The whole Coney Island, the whole Coney Island Amusement District. Yes.
The whole lot. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Now I have a question for Lucy. Or I have a question for Michael Silverman. Does my motion get squashed and we go with Lucy's?
Repeat that, Michael?
Does my motion get squashed and we go with Lucy's? Or is we just, because it's an amendment on my motion. I didn't make an amendment, I made a motion.
Right, so this will do away with your motion if this passes.
All right, and we just go with Lucy's motion.
Michael? Guys, I have Michael Silverman for this.
Right.
So, no, I have no problem. I agree with Lucy's motion, but we were voting on my motion.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. Michael, we're not voting on your motion right now. We're voting on Lucy's amendment to your period. Lucy's amendment.
All right, no worries. Thank you.
So now I just want to go a little backwards. Selena did not do, Hannah, you didn't call Selena for the second roll call on the other one. Can you please get her vote?
Yes, Madam Chair. So for the First Amendment, Selena Grant, how do you vote?
No.
Now, may I have a vote, may I have a tally on that? Did you have enough time?
Yes, ma'am. I have 6 yeses, 27 noes, and 6 abstentions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Russo, your hand is still up?
I have a still question.
Or we're done, Michael?
Oh, okay.
Michael, yes, no, maybe so? You're muted.
I'm down.
Thank you. Selena.
Okay, I just want to clarify from when Michael asked the question to EDC. So just for clarification, the 50% is the overall from all the amusement areas that we will be receiving that will be going to ideally the Parks Department. Am I correct in that?
Correct. So if you're remembering that map we're talking about, all that green plus what we're talking about tonight, that strip.
We're adding on, right?
Yes. 50% of all of that goes to parks for Coney Island parks and facilities.
So now does everybody understand what's going on? We're good?
Yes, sir.
Hannah?
Yes, ma'am. You want me to do the roll call?
Good idea.
Yes, Hannah.
Okay, going. Zunera Ahmed.
Yes.
Please mute yourselves. We get feedback, guys. That's the reason I keep muting you.
Lakeisha Bowers.
Yes.
Dion Brown.
Yes.
Patricia Brown.
Yes.
Mario Caggiano. Mario?
No.
Okay, thank you, Mario. Marion Cleaver.
Yes.
Joe Carese.
Yes. So now
Asad
we answer 2 questions.
Yes.
Lolita Divilova.
We'll see the third.
Yes.
Susan Flashenberg.
Yes.
Olga Fort.
Yes.
Selena Grant.
Yes.
Thank you. Ronald Greenberg.
Yes.
Thank you. Amaryllis Herrera.
Yes.
Thank you. Queenie Hewling.
Yes.
Thank you. Dorian Isaac. Cynthia Lavelle.
Yes.
Thank you. Elena Macklin.
Yes.
Alan Newman.
Yes.
Pat O'Brien is not here, sorry. Robin Wright Parison.
Yes.
Boris Pincus.
Yes.
Thank you. Nodra.
Yes.
Michael Quinn.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Michael. Sam Rinkowski.
Yes.
Michael Russo.
Yes.
Thank you. Jeff Sanoff.
Yes.
Brent Schwartz.
Frank Schwartz, not there.
Fran, are you still there?
I'm here.
Yes, ma'am. What's your
I'm
vote?
here. Yes.
Thank you. Tatiana Siegel.
Yes.
Thank you. Michael Silverman.
Yes, Michael.
Thank you. Pat Singer.
Yes.
Evelyn Strasser.
Yes.
Jack Subin.
Yes.
Barbara Teitelbaum.
Yes.
Fania Vasilievsky.
Yes.
Thank you. Edita Volovodovskaya.
Yes.
Dennis Verderis.
Yes.
Gloria Watkins.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. Joanna.
Almost twice as long as we're used to.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm sorry now.
Please mute yourselves if you're not speaking because it's feedback on here.
Annette Wesley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Svetlana Zelenskaya.
Yes.
Lucy Mujica Diaz.
Yes, Hannah.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
And I don't recall you giving us a vote for the minutes.
For the minutes, it's 40 yes.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on. We have 2 liquor licenses. Those 2 liquor licenses came out of committee with the same vote. So we're going to take them together. Yelena, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Licensing committee took place on Wednesday, September 7. We have two new licenses. One is Amar Khayyam, 3159 Coney Island Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Establishment has been in business for several years. They never ever have any problems. People say food is good. So now they apply for a full liquor license. Their hours of operation from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. And they have submitted stipulation form. Motion was made by your truly, seconded by Jeff Sonnett. It was approved, 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstention. The second license, it's not a Banner Inn, 282 Brighton Beach Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. It's a new establishment actually, but in famous location. It used to be Primorsky, it used to be guest house. It's a new management. They were doing alteration. I believe they are done now. They will have fine dining, full menu, open Thursday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Live music Friday and Saturday from 8 to 10 p.m. Other times only background music. They will have bar services up to 1 hour before closing. They will have a doorman daily. It was approved by committee, 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstention. I'm done. Any questions?
Yes, Elaine, I have my hand up. I have a question for both establishments. Have they ever had any type of license before? I didn't attend the meeting.
No.
Okay, because I heard you say they were open for business. So what were they doing
No,
prior?
they were open for business, never ever. I mean, I'm talking about Amar Khayyam.
Okay.
They did not apply for a license. They were about to apply for a license 2 years ago, but because of COVID restrictions, they decided to wait. So just now they apply for a license.
Okay, is there any questions from anyone else on either application? Anybody waving their hands that I'm missing? Okay, so does anyone intend to vote differently on either application, or you're going to vote the same? If you are, please raise your hand. Joe Carice, anyone else?
What do you want? You want to be unmuted? No?
Okay, so we're going to take them together when you get to Joe Carice. Joe Carice will tell you how he's voted for each application.
Do you need to be unmuted?
Go ahead, Hannah.
Zanera Ahmed.
Yes. I meant to vote yes.
Please, I ask you, it is 9:40. Please mute yourselves if you are not speaking. There's a lot of feedback. We have 2 more items to vote on.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Can I?
I misunderstood. I am voting yes also for both.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Hannah.
Okay, so Zanera Ahmed, you just voted yes. Okay, Lakeisha Bowers.
Yes.
Dion Brown. Dion Brown.
Yes. Yes,
Thank you.
Hannah.
Thank you, Dion.
You're welcome.
Patricia Brown.
Yes.
Thank you.
Both.
Mario. Thank you. Mario Caggiano.
Yes.
Marion Cleaver.
Yes.
Joe Carice. Yeah. Can I take his? Okay, never mind. She's coming.
Say yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Assad Dandia.
Why did they do that?
Assad. Okay. Lolita Divilova.
Yes.
Susan Flaschenberg.
Yes.
Olga Fort.
Yes.
Selena Grant.
Yes.
Ronald Greenberg.
Yes.
Amaryllis Herrera.
Yes.
Thank you. Queenie Hewling. Queenie. Okay, I'll come back.
Yes, Hannah.
Oh, thank you, Queenie. Cynthia Lavelle.
Yes.
Thank you. Elena Mackin,
Yes.
Alan Newman,
Yes.
Pat O'Brien. Absent, okay. Robin Wright Parasone,
Yes.
Boris Pincus,
Yes.
Nordra,
Yes.
Michael Quinn, Michael Quinn. Back. Sam Rinkowski.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. My
Thank
button
you.
was working.
That's
Gotcha.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael Quinn. I got it. Sam Rinkowski.
Yes.
Thank you. Michael Russo,
Yes.
Jeff Stanoff,
Yes.
Fran Schwartz.
Yes.
Thank you. Tatiana Siegel,
Yes.
Michael Silverman.
Yes, Michael.
Thank you. Pat Singer,
Yes.
Evelyn Strasser,
Yes.
Jack Subin,
Yes.
Barbara Teitelbaum,
Yes.
Fanya Vasilevsky,
Yes.
thank you, Fanya. Edita,
Yes.
thank you. Dennis Verderis,
Yes.
thank you, Dennis. Gloria Watkins,
Yes.
Joanne Weiss,
Yes.
Annette Wesley,
Yes.
Kumali Zairi,
Yes.
thank you. Svetlana Zelenskaya,
Yes.
thank you. I'll tally it up, Madam Chair, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hannah.
And Madam Chair, Lucy Mujica Diaz.
Yes, sorry,
you.
I forgot to vote.
I
Yes, on
forgot
both.
to ask
Yes,
you.
on both licenses. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's move on with the agenda. Old business, we have the RFP food cart concessions. Eddie is going to discuss that next month. Sorry, we're not prepared for it. I have one old business thing, is just real quick. Just, I forgot to announce that the interface committee will be meeting in November. We're going to start meeting again. So look out for that date. And if you have any question, anything to add to it, please reach out to Zanera and Dion. Yes, Selena.
For old business, I just wanted to thank our city councilman, Ari Kagan. I wanted to thank the community board as well as the Department of Transportation for setting up the all-way stop sign on West 37th and Surf Avenue. It's great. It's long
Lucky,
overdue.
right?
I thank all who put all their efforts into making it happen. The next thing I would like to bring to the attention is that when you go down to West 37th and the corner of Mermaid, there's a four-way stop there. We all need to be conscious of that everyone needs to pay attention that it's four-way for everyone. So we want to make sure that we're all on board with this so that we'll all be safe and that we'll continue enjoying our lives here in Coney Island. Thank you so much.
Well appreciated. Thank you. Gloria, you have something for old business?
You talking to me?
Yes, my dear. I thought you said something, or was your background? I thought you were saying something.
No.
Okay, thank
No.
you. Anyone else for old business? Okay, so good and welfare.
Madam, I have new business.
Good and welfare.
New business first, please.
I changing the order of the agenda. Good and welfare. Joanne. Joanne.
You keep muting me. The 60th Precinct Council meeting was originally scheduled for October 18th. But that's a Jewish holiday, so we're moving it to the 19th. Just so everybody knows, it's now October 19th at the church at West 8th Street. Thank you.
I want to thank you for that. It was a very successful in-person meeting. So thank you. Anything, anyone else with good and welfare? Okay, I'm gonna get back to Barbara in a second, but we have 2 items that are gonna be new business that need to be voted on, and I'll present them. Barbara?
Hi, guys. So at the Parks meeting, Commissioner of Parks Brooklyn, Marty Moore, brought something very important to the committee's attention. And it's Scarangella Park. Scarangella Park was a short of what it really is supposed to be. Police Officer John G. Scarangella Park. It is not identifying what this officer did and that his name was on this park and removed. So we voted to put his name back on the park as it should be. Everyone was in favor from the committee. So it is now a vote. If you have any questions, please ask me now.
Okay, so this is a new item that you want us to vote on new business. Okay, again, thank you. Is there any questions with Barbara? Okay, I'm gonna bring the other 2 items to the floor. And then if there's any objections, I will be voting on all 3 items together, and that is the exit for the evening as well. Okay, so the second, is there anyone else with new business? Cool. So now the second item besides Barbara's item is co-naming Jimmy Prince. Eddie, Mark, I don't have the street with me in front of me.
Oh, it's going to be on West 15th Street and Mermaid Avenue.
Okay, did you all get his bio?
Yes.
Okay, is there any questions as to co-naming or any objections, etc.? No, everybody's fine? Okay, great.
Yes.
Again, if you're intending to vote on any of these new business items differently, then let me know, and then I will stop and do a roll call for each. My other new business is regarding Barbara Santonis. In 2029, excuse me, we're not even there yet, but we'll get there. In 2019, this board voted to give Barbara Santonis a merit increase. That increase did not move forward. The reason it did not move forward was because when we submitted it, it was sent to us indicating that she would receive 2 cents of an increase regardless what we decided to give her. The reason she was receiving 2 cents is because in her title, which is secretary, she has reached the max. So she would not be allowed to get a merit increase from this community board. So what I'm asking this community board is to vote on a community title change for her, which her title will be changed now to community coordinator. And the range for that title would allow us in the future to give her a merit increase. Currently, Barbara is a part-timer for 28 hours. She is not looking to seek additional hours. She will be receiving the same hours. If at any moment we need her for 29 or 30, she will get paid for those 2 additional hours, and we don't have to go through the whole paperwork with Office of Management and Budget. I bring this to the board is because Barbara has not only put in her 28 hours, she has put on beyond those hours and never been compensated for them. And because we could not, the increase that we did vote on in 2019 would only allow us to give her 2 cents. This is the only way that she would be able to get some type of merit increase in the future. Any questions? No questions, are we sure? Okay, good, I was clear. So, Barbara Tannenbaum's regarding the parks, Barbara Santona's change of title, and Jimmy Prince's street co-naming. We're gonna vote on all 3 together. If you intend to vote differently on any of them, please raise your hand now. So Hannah knows, and she would then call your name separately and you tell her which way you're voting for either item. Michael Russo, what's your question? Or do you have a question or you're voting differently? I can't hear you, dear.
I got to vote differently on Jimmy because the corner you want to name it was Gajula Way. So I got to abstain from that one.
Okay. So
Okay.
once she calls your name, let her know.
Okay, no problem.
Hannah, you're with me? We got this all together? Is everybody okay? We're good? Okay, and the reason I can do this is because I did reach out to the BP's office and they told me I can't. So here we are. Go ahead, Hannah.
Am I going backwards or am I going?
Yeah, go backwards, believe me.
Backwards.
Put me the other way first, whatever, lead me to the end either way. Well, and everyone have a great holidays that celebrate. Thank you very much. See, and hopefully someday we'll be in person.
Svetlana Zelenskaya,
Yes.
Kumali Zairi,
Yes.
Annette Wesley,
Yes. Have a good night.
Joanne Weiss.
Good night.
Please respond yes to
Laura
all three.
Watkins,
Yes.
Dennis Verderis,
Yes.
Edita,
No, I
Yes.
meant to say when you respond, say, please say yes to all three, the whole sentence. Thank
Oh,
you.
sorry.
Yes. Yes to all three.
Okay, thank you. Edita,
Yes to all three.
thank you. Tanya Vasilevsky,
Yes to all three.
thank you. Barbara Titlebaum,
Yes to all three, and thank you, Marty Markowitz, for bringing this about Scavenger Park to our attention.
Jack Subin,
Yes to all three.
Evelyn Strasser,
Yes to all three.
Pat Singer, Pat Singer, where are you? Okay, I'll have to come back to her. Michael Silverman,
Yes to all three and good night.
thank you. Good night. Tatiana Siegel,
Yes to all three. Good night.
Fran Schwartz, Fran,
Yes to all three.
thank you, Fran.
Good night.
Jeff Sanoff,
Yes to all three and good night.
Michael Russo,
Abstain from Jimmy Prince's street naming and yes to the other two.
1 yes, 2 abstain, and 3 yes. Thank you, Michael Russo.
Have a
Shamrock,
great night.
Sam Rakowski,
Yes to all three. Good night.
good night. Michael Quinn,
Yes to all three. I love Jimmy.
Nodra,
Yes to all three.
Boris Pincus,
Yes, all of the above.
Robin Wright, Parison,
Abstain to all three.
Alan Newman,
All hail Aaron Judge and yes to all three.
Elena
Good
Mack,
night.
Yes to all three. Good night.
Cynthia Lavelle,
Yes to all three. Good night.
Welcome, Cynthia.
Dorian Isaac, Queenie Hewling,
Am I muted?
Yes to all three.
Amaryllis Herrera, feel better, Queenie.
Thank you.
Yes to all three.
Thank you. Ronald Greenberg,
Yes to all three. Happy New Year to all who celebrate and good night.
thank you, same to you. Good night. Selena Grant,
Yes to all three. Be well and be safe, everyone. Have a good night.
good night. Olga Ford,
Yes to all three. Thank you.
thank you. Susan Flaschenberg,
Yes to all three.
Lolita,
Yes to all three and good night.
Assad Dandia,
Yes to all three and good night.
Joe Carase,
Yes to all three. Hail, Aaron Newman.
Marion Cleaver,
Yes to all three.
Mario Caggiano.
I got Harry Newman.
Okay, yes to all three.
Thank you. Patricia Brown.
Yes to all three and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Dion Brown.
Absolutely yes to all three and Happy New Year to all who observe. Good night.
Good night. Lakeisha Bowers.
Yes to all three.
Zunera Ahmed.
Yes to all three.
Thank you. Lucy Mujica Diaz.
Yes, 2 or 3, and thank you to the staff and thank you to everyone. That's it. Meeting adjourned. Have a great night. If everyone wants to stay on, you can chat. I'm leaving.
Thank
Good
you.
night, all.
Good night, everyone.
Okay.